Chapter 563. When the crickets stopped chirping, the sky was already bright. When everyone woke up for breakfast, Zhang Zhong looked very energetic. It seemed that he had slept well last night. However, it was different for the 7 people in charge of affairs and the county magistrate of Taihu County. All of them had dark circles under their eyes and were yawning non-stop. It was as if they had not slept at all last night. They couldn't be blamed for this. Last night's letter had given them too much of a shock. If they really followed the letter, they didn't know if there would be even more trouble. Once someone found out, it wouldn't be as simple as beheading. Even their entire clan would be destroyed along with it. They also admitted that if they did that, Zhang Zhong would definitely not have the time to take care of them. Otherwise, let alone the 150,000 yuan tax this year, it was still uncertain whether they would be able to collect it. They might even need the help of the imperial court. With such a choice in mind, how could the 8 of them sleep well? Even if they were to lie down, they wouldn't be able to sleep. The county magistrate of Taihu County fell asleep when the sun was about to rise. However, the things that happened in his dream woke him up again. For the entire night, the 8 of them asked themselves whether they should do it or not. Zhang Zhong didn't know why these 8 people didn't sleep well. He only knew that these 8 people definitely didn't have good intentions. Zhang Zhong watched as the 8 of them ate a little bit of porridge listlessly and didn't eat anything else. Zhang Zhong didn't care about them and slowly ate by himself. Today, he still had a place to go, which was more than 2 hours away from here. Zhang Zhong was afraid that he would get hungry while talking to others on the road, so he couldn't eat casually. He had to eat his fill first. When everyone was almost done eating, the group continued their journey and prepared to go to another place with beautiful scenery. Just as they went down the mountain, another group appeared at the foot of the mountain. From the flag, it was obvious who had arrived. It was Tang and Commandery Prince Li Suan. Upon seeing Li Suan, Zhang Zhong was very calm and brought the officials to greet him. Li Suan was a secondary grade 1 official. No one could compare to him. Zhang Zhong did not think much of it because he was familiar with Li Suan. He had never treated Li Suan as an important person and had always treated him as a junior. He only cared about him and did not respect him. However, the others were not like this, especially the military officers. They were really afraid now. They were afraid that Li Suan would find out something and directly impeach them. Then, they would not be able to deal with Li Suan like how they dealt with Zhang Zhong. They did not sleep well last night and were feeling very uncomfortable at this time. Then they met Li Suan again. They were scared and immediately felt that they were in a trance. They could not see both sides of the road clearly. However, Zhang Zhong talked to them from time to time, so they had to force themselves to deal with it. This was the end. Their minds were not enough. They were also worried about Li Suan, who suddenly appeared. They kept looking at Li Suan to see what he wanted. Li Suan did not have time to care about them. He directly ran to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Seeing the 2 of them accompanying the 4 little fellows, he also helped to cut fruits and feed the 4 greedy little fellows. As a commandery prince, Li Suan did not feel that he was inferior at all to personally serve others. The 4 little fellows of the Zhang family could not be fed by just anyone. After he came over, he just washed his hands and took the fruits himself. The Zhang family did not check at all. This showed his status. After all, they were a family. What made Li Suan even more proud was that the 4 little fellows could not be fed by just anyone, even if it was someone from the inner courtyard. However, when he fed them, the little fellows always smiled at him. This made him even happier than when he suddenly received 10,000 strings of coins. After the 4 little fellows were stuffed to the point that they covered their stomachs and did not eat anymore, Li Suan asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Why did you call me here in such a hurry?" "I'm busy with the road. I'm going to finish the road before this year's winter. There must be roads that lead to the various counties and docks. Also, I planted the fruit trees on the side of the road. There is a ditch between 2 trees. When they grow up and passers-by are thirsty, they can use stones to knock down a few fruits to eat. There are 4 kinds of fruits. Except for the winter, there are all kinds of fruits in spring, summer, and autumn." "What kind of fruits are there in spring?" Zhang Xiaobao thought that Li Suan had made an out-of-season fruit. "Yes, there are flowers. It's the flowers of the locust tree. If there is no other way, I'll ask someone to look for them. There must be some. When the trees grow up, my fief will be better than others." Tell me, why did you call me here? I'm busy. It costs tens of thousands of yuan for a quarter of an hour. Li Sun used the words he learned from Zhang Xiaobao. Wang Wan laughed. In fact, Zhang Xiaobao was right. He did cost hundreds of thousands of yuan per minute, but Li Sun did not believe it. After listening to Li Sun's plan, Zhang Xiaobao did not want to discourage him. Anyway, when the time comes, we will know whether it will succeed or not. It's just a matter of spending a little more money. Looking around, other than the four little guys who were eating fruits and sleeping, no one else could hear them. Do you want to be rich? The kind with a lot of money? I have a way to make you rich and you don't have to worry about others making trouble for you. No, I'm thinking about how to spend money now. How can I be in the mood to make money? My money is enough for me to build my fief. After the fief is built, I can get more money. I don't have to worry. I can't lose the big picture for small gains. I'm not afraid of others making trouble for me. I won't rebel. Who dares to make trouble for me? Who dares? There are many ways to die. Why do you want to find me? Li Sun refused. From the meaning of his words, it showed that he was now focused on building his fief. He did not consider other sources when he was not short of funds. You really don't want to? Make a fortune in your fief. There are two mines, one is a copper mine, and the other is a marble mine. They have been secretly mined for several years. Did you see the mountain we just came down from? There is a copper mine on it. However, in the official book, there is only an entry of our income. Do you understand what I mean? And that cloudstone, the real cloudstone. It's as white as the clouds, and it seems to be transparent. I use it to pave the floor at home. It stopped a thief once. If we don't think of a way, the two mines will be stolen away. Zhang Xiaobao pointed to the mountain they just came down from, and then pointed to the clouds floating in the sky. Li Sun was stunned by Zhang Xiaobao's words. After a while he suddenly shouted, "What? Really? Retreat? What are you doing here?" After shouting at the guards who rushed to protect him to retreat, Li Sun's face was ashen. He lowered his voice and asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Xiaobao, you're not lying to me, right? Who has the guts to secretly mine the copper and marble mines in my fief for several years? I think they don't want to live anymore. If I find out who it is, I will make them spit out all the money they have accumulated in the past few years." Really? When have I ever lied to you? But what happened a few years ago has nothing to do with you. At that time it was not your fief. After we came here, they probably could only transport it out 3 or 4 times. My father happened to meet them once. They ran away and did not catch up. The goods were left behind. Most of the marble was given to Xiao Bei and the others to play with. The copper mine is still there. You can arrange for people to take it away. There was a copper mine on the mountain just now. The place we are going to now is the marble mine. Zhang Xiaobao finally found a solution to the problem. Although the two mines were good, the target was too big. After all, they were places where they could earn money by mining. It was not suitable for his own family to occupy them. It was better to give them to Li Sun and let Li Sun occupy them. No one could say anything. Li Sun felt that it was right. The previous mine had nothing to do with him, but he still felt uncomfortable. He thought that if others did not secretly mine and left it to him, how much more money could he earn? He did not lack money. The problem was that it was his own money. He could not let others take it for free. He finally understood why Zhang Xiaobao asked him to come. You don't have to give me what your family left behind. Xiao Bei and the others like to play on the marble? Wait until I take back the mine, then I will give you more marble. How about this? Let's work together to mine, just like how your family brought me along when you did business. Now that I have something good, I want to give you a share. Xiao Bao, do you know who secretly dug it? Tell me, and I will take care of them immediately. Beheading is a light punishment. Charge them with the crime of privately minting coins. Exterminate their entire family. Li Sun did not care about giving the marble to Xiao Bei and the others to play with. The 4 of them were so cute. It did not matter how many marble there were. He just wanted to find the culprit and take action. Zhang Xiaobao saw Li Sun's reaction and knew that he had guessed correctly. But there was no evidence now. It was easy to kill but difficult to convince the public. If he wanted to deal with someone, he had to find an excuse. Young Master Li, don't be anxious. We know who the culprit is. It is the officials here. Anyone who can come into contact with them is a suspect. Wait until we find evidence. Take a look at the place first and remember it. It is good to have a target. Yes. We can't take action directly. There is no evidence and it is not an emergency period. It is fine. They have to dig, right? As long as they dig, we can catch them. Let's see who is more daring. Li Sun was no longer the little prince who only knew how to bully others. Since he had a fief, he had to do things according to the rules. He agreed to Zhang Xiaobao's suggestion. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and asked, "Then what if the person we find is from the imperial clan? If it's a member of the imperial family, then I'll just treat it as a gift. However, the people below must be dealt with. I can't let imperial uncle kill all my cousins, right? That's impossible." Li Sun did not hide his thoughts at all. The leader was fine, but the people below were unlucky. It was their fault for not doing a good job. Now that they were caught, they had to bear such a punishment. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could understand Li Sun. Not to mention now, when was it not the same? When something happened, the small fish were caught, the medium fish would be moved to another place, and the big fish would be fine. Just know who you suspect. Don't show it. Zhang Xiaobao said to Li Sun. Understood. I won't talk to them too much. Who am I? I am the Duke. What are they? The little guys can eat again. Fruit is digested quickly. As Li Sun spoke, he saw the 4 little guys being carried to pee and prepared to be fed fruit. As soon as he finished speaking, he pulled Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and ran away. Due to the slow pace of the group, it took them nearly 6 hours to arrive at their destination. None of them had eaten lunch. Some of them had eaten too much in the morning, while others couldn't eat because they had too many things on their minds. From afar, they could see that the mountain in front of them was lush green. Zhang Xiaobao said to Li Sun, who was looking around for oars, "Do you see the trees over there? And the grass, in fact, it was all stuck there later. If you look closely, you will find that the trees and grass are not growing right. They shouldn't be so long. I don't know who is so stupid that they can't even see the yin and yang sides. The trees are actually denser in the shade than in the sunny areas. And the grass on the steep areas, whose grass can grow perpendicular to the slope under such circumstances. Where is this place? Taihu County. Why did my father come here? To promote the construction of spiritual civilization in Suzhou. Who do you think has something to do with it? Just now on the mountain, the place where the mine should be is actually a lake. I originally thought that only the Zhang family and Wang family had such ability. A man-made lake. The county magistrate of Taihu County is also very capable." Li Sun heard Zhang Xiaobao's words and understood what he meant. He looked at the trees and flowers on the mountain, and it was indeed so. When he agreed with Zhang Xiaobao that he was stupid, he said angrily, "There is no good official. There are layers upon layers of protection. It is not a single official that is caught, but a series of problems. Why do you think this is? There are historical reasons for this, and at the same time it is also a problem of the management mechanism. It is not easy to explain in a few words. Even if it is clear, it is not easy to solve. It is very difficult." Zhang Xiaobao knew that this was a problem related to the whole human society. Even if they raised a high salary, it was useless. Were there really no corrupt officials in Singapore? That was under the condition that the place was small and easy to govern. If it were such a big country, who could put an end to it? As long as this society is governed by people, then don't expect all the officials to be honest. You have to know that the reason why society can develop is because of people's desires. Without desires, human beings will not exist. As long as they exist, there will be such situations. Zhang Xiaobao said the most fundamental reason. Li Sun could understand a special word Zhang Xiaobao said. This was what he had learned for many years. He knew that Zhang Xiaobao was right, but he still felt uncomfortable and asked, "Then why is Sanshui County different? Any random official will not show any corruption, bribery, or abuse of power for personal gain. It is not that they do not have desires, but that they understand that as long as nothing happens, they will be promoted. When they leave office, they will get a large sum of money, more than what they are greedy for. There is no risk at all. The income and risk are proportional. 10,000 strings of cash is likely to cost them their lives, but 5,000 strings of cash is easy to get. Of course, they will choose 5,000 strings of cash. Didn't you say that if there is a 300% profit, someone will take all the risks to get it? Li Sun argued. That is referring to the situation where the supervision mechanism is not working. Does Sanshui County have that kind of opportunity? Most importantly, there is a more powerful threat in Sanshui County, and that is the Zhang family. Especially with my father's official position, even if they take the tens of thousands of strings of cash they just collected and run away, it will be useless. They understand the determination of the Zhang family. Even if they run out of the country, they will be hunted down. The opportunity is too small and the risk is too great. That is why they are so honest. Besides, they are usually treated well, so why do they have to take the risk? Zhang Xiaobao knew the reason. The most important thing was that the Zhang family had the ability to make money, so there was no need to be greedy. If the Zhang family did not have the ability, they would not be able to handle the following matters. Then what should we do? Is there no solution? Li Sun was even more depressed. He knew that there was no second Zhang family. They could not control the place at all. They were rich and capable, but they did not have the ambition to rebel. Where could he find another Zhang family? It's not that there's no way. There's one way, and that's to find a very powerful emperor who can see through everyone's heart. Moreover, he can see through everyone's heart in just a few breaths. Moreover, even if everyone in the world works together, they can't beat him alone. He can also make the land increase in production and make the flood disappear. That way there will be no more corrupt officials. Zhang Xiaobao gave an answer. You are not talking about an emperor but an immortal. Li Sun was even more depressed. Zhang Xiaobao smiled and said, It is impossible to make all the people and officials be selfless, but we can find a way to make the officials make fewer mistakes. Originally, 50 out of 100 officials are bad, so don't expect that there will be none. It will be a success if we can reduce it to 10. Then how can we reduce it? Li Sun agreed. If they could not be eliminated, they could reduce it. When the military of the dictatorship is loyal and strong enough, they can monitor the officials without relying on manpower. Now there is no need to think about it. It is useless. They are calling you. Go and praise them. Zhang Xiaobao also had such a dream, but it could not be realized. When he saw the people over there looking back at them while they were talking, he gave Li Sun a push. Li Sun was not willing to deal with such officials, but he had no other choice. He could only go over and join in the praise of the local officials. Even though he knew that there was a marble mine behind the very unnatural trees, he still had to praise the strange trees and the beautiful scenery. Not bad, it is really a good place. Lord Zhang will definitely build a place like this into a place for the people to enjoy, especially those trees. In other places, the trees are dense on the sunny side, but here they are dense on the shady side. It is really different. They are strange, and the scenery is beautiful. Li Sun was depressed in his heart. He pointed at a tree and said, The county magistrate of Taihu County was so scared that he trembled and sweat dripped down his forehead. And those vines. In other places they are coiled, slanted, or straight up, but here they are growing horizontally. Moreover, they are not fixed by anything. It is beautiful. When I write a memorial to report to the emperor, it will be an auspicious sign. I have decided to send people to guard this place day and night until the imperial court sends people to investigate. Li Sun was not done with his anger, so he continued to scare. This time, not only was the county magistrate of Taihu County trembling, but even the military officers were also scared. The important thing was that if they really wrote a memorial and asked the imperial court to come and guard the place day and night, they would definitely know that it was fake and understand what was going on behind the mine. The first one to be arrested was the county magistrate of Taihu County. As long as he confessed, they would not be able to escape. If they really wanted to hide, they would have to kill the county magistrate and everyone related to him. Killing them would also be considered a crime of not investigating. At the same time, they were thinking about what to do. At this time, Zhang Zhong spoke. Your Highness, this is not appropriate. Oh, what's wrong? Could it be that these vines are not so simple? Men, go and take a look. We have to figure it out even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground. Li Sun often spent time with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Not only did he learn knowledge, but he also learned a lot of evil tricks. No, Your Highness, you can't. 3 of the military officers tried to stop him in unison. The others also wanted to say something, but they did not know what to say. Zhang Zhong also tried to dissuade him. Your Highness, I don't mean this. It's not appropriate now. When the news reaches the capital and people from the capital come here, the vines on the mountain will probably be dying or have already died. If they can't see it, wouldn't it be lying to the emperor? Is that so? There's such a thing? Aya, this is my first time here, so I don't know. What do you think? Li Sun looked at the officials around him who were so scared that their faces changed. He was in a good mood. Yes, Provincial Governor Zhang is right. That's right. If your Highness really wants to report an auspicious sign, why don't you report it first thing next year? The military officer was about to sit on the ground and said with a dull look in his eyes, in that case, forget it. I want to climb the mountain and see who wants to climb with me. I can use the vines to climb up. Don't underestimate me. I'm very powerful. Li Sun continued with his suggestion. When he said that it was fine, all the officials heaved a sigh of relief. However, when he said the second half of his suggestion, all of them became angry again. There were even 2 cowardly officials who sat on the ground. Seeing Li Sun look over, one of them was smart and quickly explained, Your Highness is really powerful. When I heard that we were going to climb, I was scared. I can't. What if I fall down halfway? The other one immediately followed suit, and the matter was finally resolved. Zhang Zhong knew that Li Sun did it deliberately, so he said, Your Highness, there is something more interesting than climbing the mountain. Not far from here there is a lake called Lake Tai. I heard that the fish and shrimp in the lake are good. Why don't we go fishing there? Oh, is that so? Then let's take a look here and go to Lake Tai. Li Sun finally didn't continue to scare people. After he finished speaking, he turned around and looked for Zhang Xiaobao. When the people who could barely stand saw that Li Sun had left, they didn't care whether Zhang Zhong was next to them. A few of them sat on the ground. Zhang Zhong began to put on an act and asked people to write poems here. He also took other people's works and gave them some pointers. Amidst everyone's flattery, he left this place and went to Lake Tai. It could be said that this spiritual construction guidance work had ended. Chapter 564. Li Sun was preparing to snatch the mine. He had absolute confidence that no one else would be able to snatch it from him. In his own fief, other than the emperor and his 2 fathers, no one else could. And the emperor and his 2 fathers did not need to snatch it from him. If there was a need, they could just call him. He was now thinking about how to develop the mine. It was easy to mine but difficult to sell. Some people did not even know about it. Zhang Xiaobao was familiar with this. He pondered for a moment and said, You can only own the Cloudstone mine, but you can't monopolize the copper mine. The imperial court is short of copper now. Once you mine the copper, you can sell it directly to your uncle, the emperor. He will only charge you a mining fee and environmental damage fee. It's a small amount of money, but you have to take it. However, you can't make money from it. Just think of it as organizing people to work for your uncle for free. You're not afraid of being greedy, but you don't know what you should be greedy and what you shouldn't be greedy. This copper mine is a basic natural resource that society needs. It can't be reproduced. It's a livelihood for people. Not to mention your status, even the Zhang family and the Wang family can't take this money. Cloudstones are another thing. There's no need to worry about it. It's like sugar and salt. No matter how high the price of sugar is, no one will say anything, especially the imperial court. However, if you want to monopolize salt and raise the price, you can only wait for death. Cloudstones are a luxury. Even if you don't have them, you won't die. It's enough for you to use them to make money. Mine them first, then transport them to the capital. Build a beautiful house for your uncle with them. It's best if it's done before winter. I'll provide the furniture and heating inside. I'll also give you a beautiful big fish tank and some ornamental fish that are equally rare in Luzhou's place. Let your uncle use them during the winter. When spring comes tomorrow, your marble will be worth a lot of money. You should thank me. Li Sun nodded. He could not help but admire this idea. However, after thinking about it, he said, Cloudstones are worth a lot of money, but aren't your glass fish tank and ornamental fish worth more? Also, what's the heating device? Is it a Kong? Can a Kong work? Heating. You'll know in the future. It's very convenient. There's coal in Huayuan County. I'll give you a few thermometers as well. You can give them to your uncle. Try to keep the temperature in the room at 23 to 27 degrees Celsius. Zhang Xiaobao finally understood why the master was not willing to teach his disciple. Once the disciple was smart, it would not be easy to fool him. Li Sun did not fully understand, but he agreed. Since Zhang Xiaobao said so, then his family must have a way. He would just do as he said. When Li Sun turned around, he saw the house again. He thought about how the wheels were not afraid of bumps and how the house could move back and forth. He had a lot of thoughts. Xiaobei's house. You want to steal my younger sibling's house? No, absolutely not. My family is going to offer the method to the higher-ups. You won't get a share. As soon as Zhang Xiaobao heard Li Sun's question, he understood. He quickly explained his thoughts, not letting Li Sun take advantage of the situation. I'm not robbing you. I'm just asking if you can make one. I want one too. Li Sun was indeed going to take the technology and make a few more for his family. Or, if someone had a child at home, it would be too tacky for others to give gold and silver. He would give a house. If you want to make it into a car, wheels are fine, but a house is not. That thing is too big. Unless you want to make the car as big as the house. Let's go boating. Zhang Xiaobao agreed to a portion of it and followed the group to Lake Tai. As Li Sun followed, he said to Zhang Xiaobao, Xiaobao, do you have any new things in your family? Let me see them. I might be able to use them. You must tell me if you have any. Don't worry. I'll tell you everything as long as it can be mass-produced. I'll give you a share when I do business. Zhang Xiaobao made the horse run faster to get rid of Li Sun. When the team arrived at Lake Tai, it was already evening. Li Sun circled the lake and caught a few fish. Unfortunately, crabs were not available in this season, so he could only eat fish and prawns. Everyone ate a big meal. Zhang Zhong was in a good mood as he learned a lot of things. Li Sun was also happy. There were two mines. Even if he could only take one in the end, it would be good. The military registrar and the others were also relaxed. The matter was settled. Li Sun drank some wine and was a little confused. When it was dark, he wanted to find Zhang Xiaobao to discuss ways to make money. He did not care about others and stood up to find Zhang Xiaobao. However, before he reached the place, he realized something was wrong. Why was it so bright? How many candles must be lit? It's so bright. It's still near the house. Xiaobao wants to kill the younger siblings. This won't do. I have to go and take a look. Li Sun did not feel anything when he was sitting and drinking. Now that he stood up, the alcohol rushed to his head. In a daze he saw a house. It was bright. At this time he was in a state where he was intoxicated but not drunk. He knew that too many candles were not good for the younger siblings. When he got closer and was sobered up by the cold wind, he finally realized that things were not as he thought. He saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wang guarding the front of the house. They were playing with the younger siblings and looking at the candles in the house. That's strange. When did such candles appear? When he got closer, Li Sun finally realized that it was not a candle. It was something bright inside a glass. It was a new thing that could replace candles. Xiaobao, what did you say during the day? You're hiding the good stuff, aren't you? Why is it so bright? Give me 100 of them. I'll hang them at home. Li Sun rubbed his face with his hands and poured some water on his face from the basin for the younger children's handkerchiefs. When he woke up, he stood in front of Zhang Xiaobao and questioned him. He knew that he should not scare the child. It can't be mass-produced yet. Last night 2 were broken. It's not even enough for 24 hours. It's useless even if I give it to you. It's an experiment now. This is the house. The experiment at home is also at the same time. That place is different from here. Let's see how long it can last. When it's done, we will definitely not leave you out. Especially this generator. Look, it's something that the people over there use. We can sell it cheaper. It's 1,000 strings of coins. It's not expensive. Zhang Xiaobao was not lying. The lifespan of light bulbs was too short. Could not be used at all. It was not like when he and Wang Wan were together. Glass was cheap. Here it was a luxury. The light bulbs were going to be sold for 50 strings of coins. After people bought them, they would use them for a few hours. If they broke, it would be over. He had to find a way to make it last longer. Compared to candles, at least the lifespan of the light bulbs could be exchanged for the price of candles at the same time. The reason why the generator was so cheap was that the light bulb technology was in his hands. If the conditions were met, Zhang Xiaobao could even give away the generator for free. For example, he could buy 100 light bulbs at a time. While Zhang Xiaobao was talking, the light bulb on the second floor of the house went out. The four little guys found that the light was not right. They turned to look at their own house together and saw that the light on the second floor was out. They were anxious. They pulled Wang Wan there and called her sister. Their little hands pointed to the second floor. Zhang Xiaobao quickly changed the light bulbs. Li Sun also believed Zhang Xiaobao's words and said, "It's really easy to break. Then we have to study it quickly. It's a good thing. It's bright, really bright. The fire is wrapped in the glass. There's no need to add oil, and there's no need to be afraid of wind. If the whole house is lit, there won't be any difference between night and day." Zhang Xiaobao changed the light bulbs. The second floor was bright again. The four little guys smiled happily and turned to continue playing. Li Sun could see that the little guys could not go in, but they definitely would not allow their house to be dark. He squatted down and pulled one of the little guys over. He kissed him hard on the face and said, "You guys enjoy yourselves. The good things are all given to you first. There's no such treatment in the palace." After staying in Lake Tai for a night, they rushed back after dawn. Seeing that they had all left, the county magistrate of Taihu County sat on the shaft of the carriage and looked at the sky. He sighed and said to himself, "Gone, they're all gone. It's finally quiet. Mines, money and floating clouds, they're all floating clouds. Master, there's still Qingfeng." A person who was an advisor came over and said. The county magistrate put his hand on the advisor's face and pushed him. "Go away. What Qingfeng? They're all gone." No one in Zhang Xiaobao's entourage cared about the thoughts of a county magistrate, nor did they have the leisure to experience the county magistrate's philosophical thoughts. They continued on their journey at a leisurely pace. After walking for 3 days, they still did not return to the manor. They did not go back, but some people had already arrived. They were the people who came down from the dock. On the 4th night after leaving the dock, many carriages came to the yamen of Shuzhou Prefecture. Of course, the guards did not dare to stop them and directly let them in. Old man Yuanji's family was also temporarily arranged to stay in the prefecture. However, there was no one in the prefecture, not even a caretaker. The only people who could breathe were the yamen runners outside. After asking around, they found out that everyone had gone elsewhere. The old man who accompanied old man Yuanji said, "Don't worry about them. Just don't go to their main house. We can look around and see if they have made anything new. I found that every few days they make something new." At this time, a yamen runner who was guarding the gate came over and said to the old man who just spoke, "Master Bai, I don't know what's going on these days. As soon as it gets dark, one of the courtyards in the governor's house will light up. Sometimes it will light up for a long time. Sometimes it will light up for a while and then stop. Is it haunted? Master, why don't you and this master take a rest outside? Otherwise, if something happens, it will be hard for me to explain." "Oh, is there such a thing? Okay, what haunted? Can his house be haunted? Yuanji, come with me. Arrange for your family to stay here. Send as many servants to my house as possible. The Zhang family has things that not everyone can see." When old man Pai heard that it was haunted, he did not believe it at all. Which ghost was tired of living and came to the Zhang family and Wang family to make trouble. He said something to old man Yuanji and led the way to the courtyard that the yamen runner just mentioned. It was just the two of them. The others were not going to follow, not even the guards. When the two old men came to the courtyard, they saw that it was lit up in different places. Old man Pai looked carefully at the ground and said in surprise, "This is the courtyard where the 4 youngest children of the Zhang family and Wang family play. There should be a house in front. It seems that it has been put on wheels and taken away. And the ground, Longzhe, wait, what did you just say? The house has been put on wheels and taken away? What house can be taken away?" If old man Yuanji did not know what kind of person Bai Go was, he would really think that he was possessed by a ghost. It was the first time he heard that a house was put on wheels and taken away. Yuanji does not believe it. It is the house of the 4 little kids. It is so high and has 3 floors. Only one house costs a lot of money. What is the point of putting on wheels and taking away? That house can be used as a boat in the water. Even if it is pressed into the water, the children inside can hold on for a long time. And the ground, it was not marble in the past. I don't know where they found so many marble stones. I think it can only be seen in this courtyard. It is beautiful, especially when it is illuminated by the light. Good, it is a pity that the people are not here. Otherwise I must ask carefully. Old Man Pai explained to Old Man Yuanji. He could understand the other party's thoughts. If he did not see it with his own eyes, no one would believe it. Sure enough, Old Man Yuanji did not believe it. He said on the side, "Is there no marble stones in Zhangzhong's main hall? That depends on whether there is anything left after the courtyard is paved. If there is, and it is enough to pave the main hall, then there will be some in the main hall. Otherwise there won't be any." Their family gave the best things to the 4 children. "Let's go and see what that shiny thing is." Old Man Pai explained again. He stepped on the marble ground and felt that the feeling under his feet was really different. When the 2 people approached the shiny thing, they found that there were a total of 20 such things, and 6 of them were broken. What is this? A candle? An oil lamp? They have been gone for several days. There should not be anyone coming in to add oil. It is even more impossible for a candle to burn for such a long time. It is strange. Old Man Pai looked at the light bulbs. When he turned his head to talk to Old Man Yuanji, he suddenly found that the surroundings were so dark. When he turned his head to look at the light bulbs again, his eyes were shaking uncomfortably. Fortunately for the 2 of them, the light bulbs were not hung up high. Old Man Yuanji had just reached the place and had to be polite, so he did not touch them. Old Man Pai did not care about being polite or not. If he was polite to the Zhang family, then he would never be able to get anything good. "Let me pick one and see what it is," Old Man Pai said as he reached out to pick one of the light bulbs. He thought that it was a gourd. As soon as his hand touched the light bulbs, he retracted his hand. "Hot! How did this happen? My hand is so hot. Look, where does it connect to?" Old Man Pai blew twice on his scalded fingers. As he spoke, he followed the line that connected the light bulbs to other places. His feet also followed the light bulbs. As they walked, the 2 of them arrived in front of a few large windmills that were rotating at the side. Under the windmills, the 2 of them saw something that could not be seen clearly turning. When the windmills turned, this thing turned. When the windmills stopped, this thing also stopped. After looking for a while, Old Man Yuanji finally found the connection and said, "When the windmills stop, it is dark. When the windmills turn, it is bright. Does this have something to do with the windmills?" Yes, that is it. Yuanji, you don't know. Look here. Obviously you can use your feet to pedal, but now you are riding on the windmills. The Zhang family is lazy. If they can use wind and water, they will definitely not use animals. If they can use animals, they will definitely not use people. I know how to do this. Watch me. Stop this place that connects to the windmills and then take it down. Okay, that side is out, right? Next I will go up and pedal. Old Man Pai picked up a connecting shaft. This way, the generator could not rely on the rotation of the windmills to provide power. Old Man Pai went up to the generator, put his foot on the pedal, grabbed the handle and began to pedal. When he pedaled, that place lit up again. When he stopped, it was dark. This time, without needing to say anything, Old Man Yuanji understood what was going on. It turned out that it was really related to the windmills, but he could not figure out the reason behind it. Old Man Pai was the same. He put back the connecting shaft of the windmills. After the lights were back on, he sat there and rested his chin on his hand. Why? The windmills turn and light up and the windmills stop. Could it be that a windmill with this thing can replace candles? The more he thought about it, the more surprised Old Man Pai was. If it was true, then as long as the wind was blowing steadily and there was water next to it, candles and oil lamps would no longer be needed. Moreover, this thing with something inside the glass was much brighter than candles. If it was placed in a hall, just one would be brighter than more than 10 candles. How much money would be saved? How much oil would be saved? If this oil was given to people to eat, how many families would benefit? Besides, this thing was not afraid of wind and did not have oil fumes. Apart from the discomfort of looking at it directly, it was much better than candles and oil lamps. What Old Man Pai could think of, Old Man Yuanji could also think of. He also knew that this thing that could light up was a layer of glass. Longzhe, the Tang Empire is lucky to have this thing. We should write a report immediately. I will go back now. Old Man Yuanji looked very calm just now, but after thinking of the application of this thing, he became excited and was about to go back. Yuanji, you can't. Everything will have to wait until the Zhang family comes back. If you write a report now and send it to them, then this thing will be the last thing the Zhang family has. Don't expect other things to come out in the future. You should know that the Zhang family makes a good thing every few days. When Old Man Pai saw that Old Man Yuanji was going to write a report, he quickly stopped him. If he really wrote it and sent it to them, then it would be terrible. After interacting with the Zhang family so much, he knew what kind of people the Zhang family was. If they negotiated with him, then sometimes it would be an exchange of interests, sometimes it would be an exchange of power, and sometimes it would not be an exchange of anything. As long as they talked nicely and it did not have a big impact on the income of the Zhang family and Wang family, then the technology would be handed over. For example, if it was really related to the fate of the country and the people's livelihood, then the first thing to do was to send it to them. If such people were angered because of Yuanji's excitement, then they should not expect their family to produce anything in the future. Killing the goose that lays the golden eggs would not work. After Old Man Pai stopped Old Man Yuanji and told him this, Old Man Yuanji also stopped. He also understood that this was indeed the case. If he were in Old Man Pai's shoes, he would also be angry. What did it mean that all under the sky was the land of the king, and all on the shore of the land were the king's subjects? That was a lie. The land of the king was conquered. For example, the big island that the Zhang family found was the land of the Tang Empire. In fact, it had nothing to do with the Tang Empire at all. They did not send troops to occupy it. They just wanted the gold mine, copper mine, and grain there. I understand. The Zhang family and Wang family are not lacking in righteousness, but we can't use righteousness to suppress them. This thing will definitely be used to make money. Ordinary people will not use it. Old Man Yuanji sighed and did not leave. He stood beside the lamp and watched it shine. Ordinary people have no use for candles. Oil lamps are only lit when there are special circumstances. How can they afford it? Let alone this. How much did the thing just now cost? Can the common people afford it? It's only used by the rich. Besides, there's nothing wrong with the Zhang family making money. You'll know when they come back. It's not bad to eat, but they will never throw away a table full of food that they can't finish. They wear good clothes, but they will never stop wearing them after wearing them once. Apart from the 4 little ones who did not care about money, their family rarely wasted money. In other words, most of the money they earned was not used on themselves. Look at Sanshui County, Huayuan County, Yaozhou, Luzhou, and now the people of Shuzhou. Most of the time, the Zhang and Wang families had to fork out their own money to pay for the roads and water conservancy projects. They rarely reported anything to the authorities. Moreover, no one reported anything to them. Whenever a disaster struck a place, they would secretly transport things to that place. When they arrived at that place, they would use the imperial court's name to give it to the victims. They also paid for the things the imperial court built. Other rich families flaunt their wealth, but you can't see the Zhang family and Wang family at all. This is the true definition of a rich family. The sea does not show off its depth, but it surges. The mountain does not show off its height, but it is majestic. The Zhang family and Wang family are like this. If they earn money, so be it. Old Man Pai summed up the Zhang family and Wang family. It was true. The two families were never like other people who used the name of giving porridge outside a certain city. If the Zhang family and Wang family really wanted to help the common people in a certain place, they would definitely open a business there. Then, they would use the business as an excuse to build roads and water conservancy projects and so on. This required manpower. Other people were giving alms on the surface, but the Zhang family and Wang family were helping the common people find things to do. They were not on the same level at all. Old Man Yuanji used to think that he knew the Zhang family and Wang family well. On the way, he also heard some things about the Zhang family and Wang family from Old Man Pai. The main thing was that there were too many things to do, so he did not talk about it. Chapter 565. The green grass was boundless, and the rice in the fields had grown. Whose carriage and horses were making a ruckus. Living in fear all day long. The heart of the mortal world is not cold. Why worry about the lack of sunlight? I'll give you lollipops. After discovering something that could replace candles, Old Man Pai and Old Man Yuanji didn't sleep that night. They took the 4 mats that they used to drag the children back and forth, sat on the marble floor, and guarded. Old Man Yuanji asked questions from time to time, and let Old Man Pai answer them. In addition to talking about the Zhang family and the Wang family, Old Man Pai also pondered about the problem of the glowing object. Having learned the Book of Nature, he wanted to use the knowledge in the book to interpret what he saw. However, he found that the book, which seemed very profound at first, was too simple when compared to the object in front of him. There must be a deeper level of books. The Book of Nature is like a clear stream. Then there must be a small river, a big river, a big river, and a big sea. Yes, that's right. Turns out that this road is so long. Old Man Pai thought about this matter, but he didn't know whether the glowing object in front of him was a big river or a big sea. If Wang Wan was here, she would tell him that this was only a small part of a small river. The Book of Nature could not even be considered a small stream. It would be more appropriate to call it the mouth of a spring. The depth of the sea of technology depended on the vastness of the starry sky. The more one knew, the shallower they found themselves. Old Man Yuanji had never learned the Book of Nature. He couldn't understand anything that was invented by the Zhang family. Hearing Old Man Pai muttering, he asked curiously, Longzhe, what are you talking about? Do you know what's going on? I don't know. I only know that the lightning in the sky is bright because 2 different kinds of clouds collide. It has nothing to do with immortals. The thing hanging there will light up. Is it because 2 different kinds of things collide? For example, the flint we use. Old Man Pai tried his best to use his knowledge to explain this phenomenon. He seemed to have found a connection, but he couldn't accurately explain it. The flint would light up continuously when it was struck, but that kind of light would have intermittent intervals. The thing above his head didn't stop shining. Old Man Yuanji was even more confused. How did this have anything to do with flint again? If he couldn't figure it out, he said to Old Man Pai, don't think about it. Let's talk about the 3 types of seeds. Can it be used throughout the Great Tang? It should be possible. The Zhang family is testing it as well. They've succeeded in planting rice in Sanshui County, and they've succeeded in planting rice in Huayuan County. Since there's no Zhang family in Yao province to guide them personally, they've succeeded in planting rice in other places. Lu Zhou has succeeded. If this place succeeds as well, it can only mean one thing. Different methods need to be adopted in different places. The reason for this is that what can help other things grow is not necessarily a pig, a duck, and so on. Old Man Pai summarized the seeds. Old Man Yuanji also understood and said, I understand. It's local conditions. For example, the Zhang family in Sanshui County first raised an earth dragon in Zhuangzi. In addition to feeding the chickens, it can also be used in places where the soil is not good. After drilling, the hard ground will become soft. We should ask the agriculture temple to send people to guard it. That's fine, but we can't order the Zhang family around. It's dawn. Eat some porridge and go to sleep. Old Man Pai yawned and found that the sun had come out. Time passed so quickly. A night had passed just like that. The 2 of them stood up. Old Man Bai rubbed his sore legs, but he was fine after moving around a bit. Old Man Yuanji, on the other hand, couldn't even stand up. This was thanks to the 4 cushions. There was a layer between them that blocked out the cold air. Otherwise, he might have to be carried away because of the marble floor. When Old Man Pai supported Old Man Yuanji, who was moving little by little, back to his courtyard, the dining tables had already been set up. Someone was holding a pen and paper in his hand and asking them one by one, what do you eat? There are steamed buns about this big. There are mutton stuffing, pork stuffing, leek and egg stuffing, and pies with the same stuffing. There are also steamed buns and fruits, oil cakes, rice porridge, millet porridge, 2 kinds of rice mixed together, soy milk and tofu pudding, sweet and salty. Little kid, who drinks milk and egg cake? His ears were full of such inquiries. Old Man Yuanji turned to look at Old Man Pai in puzzlement. What was going on? When he was on the ship, he didn't eat so many things. There were only 3 kinds. 2 kinds of rice porridge, soy milk and tofu pudding, and the salty one. Before Old Man Pai could answer, he continued to ask if he ate wontons, soaked buns, mutton soup, pancakes, and so on. These were the habits of people who could eat breakfast everywhere. There were also the eating methods that the Zhang family later invented. In total, there were more than 30 things and hundreds of combinations. This Old Man Pai understood what he meant. Why couldn't he eat when he was on the ship? This is not the breakfast that my chef made. This is the treatment provided by the Zhang family and the Wang family Sea and Clouds restaurant. With the Hunan Road as the boundary, that is between the clouds and the water, and this is Sea and Clouds restaurant. In the future, they will compete with each other. Just know that. What do you want to eat? I want a big bowl of steamed egg cake and a drawer of shumai. I'm the same as you. How can I be asked? So troublesome. After hearing so many things, Old Man Yuanji was confused. He didn't know how to choose, so he could only order the same as Old Man Pai. If I don't ask one by one, how can I serve? The amount of food for each meal is the amount that others say, and then add it up a little. Otherwise it will be a waste. I didn't spend money. Old Man Pai called a clerk over and told them what to eat. He explained to Old Man Yuanji. Old Man Yuanji nodded to show that he understood, and then suddenly asked, what about the leftovers from the restaurants? What about the restaurants in the capital? The good things are taken home by the waiter, and the bad things are given to the beggars waiting for food. The rest is thrown away. It's the same in the restaurant, but the good things are left for the people who can't eat, and the bad things are fed to the pigs. Sigh. When will the people of Tang stop eating this kind of thing? Old Man Pai didn't feel good when he talked about this. Even though Zhang Wang's restaurant was already very good, and everything that was given to the people was the best, after all, it was the leftovers of others. It wasn't the first time that he saw other restaurants put the leftovers together with the swill in a bucket for people to grab. There was a lucky child who fished out a bitten chicken claw from the swill in the bucket, and he was very grateful to the person who brought it over. It's a pity that I'm still the Minister of Revenue, in charge of the land and money of the world, but I can't change anything. Old Man Pai sighed. The more he thought about it, the more sullen he felt. It's almost done. It's almost done. The emperor is working hard to govern the country, and the Zhang Wang and Zhang Wang's methods. Old Man Yuanji was even more sullen than Old Man Pai. When the sun rose, Zhang Zhong's team continued their journey and walked back unhurriedly. The road that hadn't been repaired was not wide enough, and the team was large, so the people at the back didn't dare to force their way through. They could only wait until they encountered a small path and quickly go around to the front. The people in front of them also hid by the side of the road. Zhang Zhong had already told the team not to walk side by side, leaving space for passers-by. However, pedestrians didn't dare to do that. If they bumped into someone with a bad temper, they would be punished. Li Sun rode beside the house while holding a clip in his hand and using a charcoal stick to draw on the paper. From time to time, he would ask Zhang Xiaobao, who was also riding a horse, how to build the road in this place and how wide it should be. Or when they encountered a river, he would ask Zhang Xiaobao what kind of bridge should be built. Should it be an arch bridge or a flat bridge made of wood? Zhang Xiaobao had never studied civil engineering, so how could he know? He could only look at the surrounding environment. If there was a barren mountain, he would say to build a stone bridge. If there was a dense forest or if there was no mountain, he would say to build a wooden bridge. It mainly depended on the difficulty of finding the materials. The team walked and walked until it was noon. It was time to eat, so they stopped to rest, mainly because the horses were tired. They carried out the little guys who had just woken up and let them play around by themselves. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan began to cook for the younger brother and sister alone. Others could eat in the big pot, but the little guys couldn't eat with them. What are we going to do today? Are we going to make soft fried meat? We made it last time, but it was a little difficult to eat. Why don't we make fish? Wang Wan tied her apron and asked Zhang Xiaobao. The fish we brought this time has too many bones. It's too tiring to beat the fish. Let's make snow cotton bean paste. The little guys like to eat sweet things. You mix the bean paste and I'll beat the eggs. Zhang Xiaobao said after a pause and began to take out the eggs. The people in the inner courtyard didn't have any reaction. They were used to it, but the other officials were envious. The 4 little guys didn't eat the soft fried meat last time and shared it with them. Only then did they realize that the best cooks between the clouds and the water turned out to be the 2 oldest kids in the family of Governor Zhang and General Wang. In the past few days, the 2 kids had never heard of most of the dishes they cooked for the 4 little guys, let alone see them. Whatever the 4 little guys couldn't eat, they would put aside for the people in the inner courtyard to eat. First, it was for the sake of flattery. Some officials came over and insisted on eating the leftovers of others, even if the leftovers might have the little guy's saliva on them. However, after eating it, they realized that it wasn't the case at all. No wonder the general's daughter didn't let others cook for the little guys. Last time, they were chased away when they sent roasted pork tendons. So this was the reason. While Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were busy, the 4 little guys ran around crazily. They found everything fun and ran everywhere, exhausting the servant girls who were protecting them. Xiaobei ran around and around until she came to a family of 4 hiding in a ditch by the roadside. They didn't dare to move. The most attractive thing about this family was that there was also a pair of twins. They looked exactly the same, but they were girls. They looked about the same age as her and were timidly huddling in their mother's arms. Xiaobei ran closer, crossed her legs and crossed her arms. Wei Wei leaned forward and stared at the 2 sisters with her head tilted. Her big eyes kept blinking, as if she was very curious. After staring at the 2 for a while, she looked at her own clothes and finally found the difference. She was wearing clothes while the 2 opposite her weren't wearing clothes. Their little faces were also dark. After standing there and pondering for a while, Xiaobei turned around and ran back into the house. 2 servant girls chased after her to protect her. The remaining servant girl said to the family of 4, "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. This is the provincial governor's family. They won't hurt you." The servant girl's comforting words didn't have much of an effect. It would be a lie if the husband and wife said that they weren't afraid. If they encountered an adult, it would be easier to handle. If that precious little girl ran here and cried, then the adult would want their family's lives. After running into the house, Xiaobei fiddled with it for a while. When she came out, she held a small stick in each hand. On the top of the stick was a round piece with a diameter of 10 centimeters wrapped in tin foil. She turned around and ran back. The parents of the 2 twins were frightened. They didn't know what this little girl was going to do, but they didn't do anything. This time, Xiaobei ran until she was in front of the 2 girls. She giggled a few times and reached out her hands to pass the 2 things she was holding to the 2 girls. She said, "Candy, candy, eat candy." The maidservant standing by the side understood that the little girl was going to give her a candy. She quickly said to the 2 frightened adults, "This is my family, Xiaobei's wife. She's giving your daughter a candy. Quickly take it, otherwise if she cries." The rest of the words didn't need to be said. The couple knew what she meant as soon as they heard it. The woman reached out to take the candy, but Xiaobei didn't give it to her. She wanted to pass it to the 2 girls. The woman immediately pushed her 2 daughters forward. "Big boys, small boys, quickly take it. It's candy." The 2 girls weren't as generous as Xiaobei. Maybe it was because of the people they were in contact with, or maybe it was because of the nutrition, or maybe it was because of the different education methods. They were so scared that they didn't dare to reach out. Xiaobei was stunned for a moment. She stuffed the candy in her left hand into the servant girl's hand, and freed her hand to tear off the wrapper of the candy in her right hand. There was a layer of glutinous rice paper inside. She demonstrated by licking the lollipop that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had specially made for them. She even smacked her lips twice and handed it over again. The 2 sisters' eyes immediately widened. "This can be eaten? Looks so good." One of them stretched out his small hand and took it. Then he imitated Xiaobei's actions and licked it with his tongue. He seemed to have discovered something very strange. He made a sound of acknowledgement and licked it twice. Finally, he revealed a pure and innocent smile. At this time, the other one also followed her example and licked it. She smiled happily like the first one. At this time, Xiaobei finished peeling the other candy and handed it over. When the second girl grabbed the candy in her hand and licked it like a treasure, Xiaobei seemed to have done the greatest thing. She spread her arms and smiled like a flower as she watched the 2 girls lick the candy. The 3 servant girls beside Xiaobei also smiled. The kind-hearted master, the kind-hearted young lady, and the young master. Even this little ancestor, When others thought that she didn't know anything, knew how to give good things to people who needed them. The couple was dumbfounded. They had never seen such a big candy before. There were 3 colors stacked together in circles. What was even more unexpected was that the girl opposite them, who was about the same age as their 2 daughters, was so sensible. If it was said that when an adult gave something to others, they would make use of it in this way, but this little girl definitely wouldn't. How did the master teach such a kind child? If a child could be like this, then there was no need to talk about an adult. At this time the man finally reacted. He remembered what the servant girl had said. The provincial governor's wife Xiaobei? But is it the provincial governor Zhang who just arrived in Shuzhou? The great official that people always say is good? The man reacted and asked in a trembling voice. The provincial governor of Shuzhou is my master. My master said that the people will judge whether he is good or not. The servant girl's voice was soft and slightly proud as she replied. Good official. He is indeed a great official. I will kowtow to the master. When the man got this answer, he knelt down with a thump and kowtowed to the group. The woman also let go of her 2 daughters and kowtowed with her husband. The 2 girls didn't seem to understand what was going on with their parents. They held the candy sticks tightly in their hands and blinked anxiously. The commotion here finally alarmed the other side. 2 guards ran over to check the situation. One servant girl stopped the guards and told them what had just happened. The other 2 servant girls went to help the people. When the guards heard this, one stayed behind to guard and the other went back to report. Zhang was preparing to eat. After hearing the guards' report, he laughed out loud. Good, this is my Zhang family's people. You have the people in your heart. There should be more people on the road. It's time to eat. Let's eat together. Someone go and find everyone in front to eat together. A father can't be worse than his daughter. Zhang was happy. His daughter really fought for him. She actually ran out to give candy to others. The officials around Zhang were also puzzled. Could it be that if the father was good, the child would be good too? It really made people jealous. It was always doubtful that the adults could buy the people's hearts. But the children also knew that helping their fathers to buy the people's hearts was 100 times better than the adults doing it directly. After Zhang gave the order, someone immediately went to the 2 sides of the group to call people. The guards also became more vigilant. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had just finished making snow cotton bean paste. When they heard the news, they frowned at the same time. In the future, there will be 2 strong protection team members beside the 4 of them at all times. What if they encounter an assassination? Xiaobei and the others must have felt that they don't have enough companions because they usually play with 4 people. It seems that we have to find them playmates. Zhang Xiaobao was not surprised that his sister could do such a thing. It was normal, but he was not satisfied with the guards. If they were sent by someone to kill, his sister would have been dead long ago. Love was love, but they could not ignore their safety. Wang Wan also felt that it was dangerous and said, "It seems that we have to make pistols as soon as possible in the future. We also have to choose people with good skills and cultivate a special team of bodyguards. We can't not be close to the people." Back then, wherever the chairman went, he had to inform us in advance and check again for fear of danger. But the prime minister is different. As long as something happens, he has to fly over. It's temporary. The people can't check at all. One is relying on the charm of the person, and the other is that the bodyguards are strong enough. No matter what, Xiaobei did not encounter any danger this time. When the maid came to call Xiaobei to eat, Xiaobei's eyes lit up. This was also a conditioned reflex. She had probably heard the word eat the most. More importantly, she knew that the food was delicious. It was made by her brother and sister. Knowing that she could eat good food again, Xiaobei held the sisters' hands and walked back, one in each hand. After taking 2 steps, she lost her balance and fell on the ground. While others were worried, she got up, turned around and pulled the sisters up again. This time they were walking forward so they didn't have to fall on their buttocks. When Xiaobei pulled them into the group, the maid coaxed Xiaobei to take the 2 sisters to take a bath and find new clothes to wear. The 2 sisters felt that the atmosphere was different and were very obedient. However, they did not let go of the lollipops in their hands. Even when they were bathing, they held the lollipops in their hands. To them, this was probably the most precious gift. At this time it was already time to eat. There were only about 30 people on the road, so there was no need to check them one by one. In today's accidental situation, the probability of deliberately hurting Zhang Zhong was too small. Zhang Zhong was bold and greeted the people one by one. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were helpless. They could only personally accompany Zhang Zhong and chase the bodyguards away. This made Zhang Zhong seem closer to the people. He was greeting his family. However, the people in the inner courtyard of the Zhang family knew that with the young master and young lady around, there was no need to worry about the master's safety. The people were indeed moved. He was a good official. It was the first time they saw an official without any bodyguards talk to them so cordially. After a round of greetings, everyone started to eat. But just as they started to eat, 2 horses came from the front. 2 yamen runners jumped off the horses and ran to Zhang Zhong to report, "Sir, official Bai is back. He brought many people with him. Among them is an old man. Official Bai calls him Yuan Ji." Chapter 566. What is prosperity? Don't ask now, look for old traces in the next year. The old man would fish with them or point to the sky and talk about the clouds. Zhang San knew that Bai Go had gone to pick them up. When he heard Yuanji, he didn't know who it was. They ate and continued on their way. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw that the 6 little guys had finished eating, they asked someone to inquire about them. They found out that this family was a family of craftsmen or craftsmen. They were not as good as farmers, so they were looking for work. Xiaobei seemed to hit it off with the 2 sisters and insisted on playing with them. He was even brought into the house. Seeing this, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't have to worry about it. Someone hired the family. They didn't care what they could do, as long as the children could play with Xiaobei. As they continued to walk, Zhang Xiaobao asked Wang Wan, "Do you know who Yuanji is? The person Grandpa Bai found shouldn't be bad, right?" "Yuanji? Who's called Yuanji? His courtesy name is Yuanji, right? There was a person in the northern song called Wang Yuqi. His courtesy name is Yuanji. I remember the poem he wrote was, 'The horse crosses the mountain and the chrysanthemum blossoms at the beginning. Wanha has a voice in the evening, and several peaks stand silently under the setting sun. The leaves of the tangerine pear fall, and the buckwheat flowers bloom. What is there to be melancholy about? The village bridge and the original trees are like my hometown.'" Feels a bit like Susher's Lingnan answer. But he said, "This is my hometown. But he is better than him, more free and easy. He is such a person." That's right. Wang Wan was knowledgeable and better than Zhang Xiaobao in this aspect. She said it directly. Unfortunately, this answer didn't satisfy Zhang Xiaobao. "You said it was the northern song. No matter how bad I am in history, I know that the song is after the Tang. Is he here now? Did he come out early? Oh right. He is not here yet. Who is he? Yuanji, this name is indeed familiar. Who did Li Longji call Yuanji? The person Grandpa Bai found should be a little famous, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked for both a boat and a person to pick him up. Young Master Li, come here for a moment. I have something to ask you." Wang Wan couldn't think of anything. It was clearly floating in front of her eyes. She had a hint of inspiration, but she forgot it in her hurry. She could only look for Li Sun. "What's the matter?" Li Sun urged his horse over. Just now, because there were a few more common people's children, he didn't eat the snow cotton bean paste. Even though he wasn't young anymore, he was used to eating with Zhang Xiaobao and Li Sun. At this time, he started to throw a tantrum and called out this prince the moment he opened his mouth. "Regarding the matter of making a fortune, I wonder if your highness has the time?" Wang Wan replied, Yes. Tell me how to get rich. Let's do it together." Li Sun's status suddenly dropped. "Then tell me first, whose character is Yuanji?" Wang Wan continued to ask. "Yao Chong? What happened to him? He didn't seem to be young anymore. Could he have died? That's a big matter. It's a loss to our dynasty." Li Sun's expression changed. After all, he was a prime minister. Even if he wasn't, he still knew what he had done. Wang Wan also remembered who the character Yuanji was. She opened her mouth and gasped in shock. She looked at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Grandpa Bai brought Yao Chong here? That's troublesome. Yao Chong's methods are impressive. What if there's a group of people?" Zhang Xiaobao was also shocked. He didn't expect that old man Pai would bring Yao Chong here when he said he was going to pick someone up. Could it be that old man Pai felt that he didn't have enough weight? No matter how bad the history was, Zhang Xiaobao knew who Yao Chong was. That name had existed for many centuries. Many people said that without him, there would be no Kaiyuan era. It was his series of methods that helped Li Longji stabilize the political situation. Besides, his family had dealt with him before. His family's initial position was stable because they worked together to eliminate the locusts. Now that he was here in person, there was another large group of people. Li Sun listened from the side and understood what was going on. He smiled and said, "This is a good thing. With Elder Bai and Minister Shangshu here, it's even better to have a prime minister. If there's nothing to do, you guys can bully others for fun. With these two people here, even if you bully me, I have to endure. Without them, you have to endure even if they bully you. Now that you know who it is, I'll make you snowbean paste tonight." Wang Wan was not worried now that she knew who it was. She would act according to circumstances. Li Sun curled his lips. "Do you think I'm a child? You think you can scare me with snowbean paste? Didn't you say you were going to get rich? How do you get rich? Ask Xiao Bao. He said it just now." Wang Wan did not know how to get rich. She directly sent Li Sun to Zhang Xiaobao. "Xiaobao, don't tell me you are also going to make snowbean paste to fool me." Li Sun came to ask. Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. What did this have to do with him? This was not right. He looked at Wang Wan. Wang Wan had already turned her head to look at the house. He then looked at Li Sun. Li Sun had a look of desire. "Yes, young Master Li is right. It is snowbean paste. You even know about this. There are still a few days before midsummer. Then let's get rich for a few days first. You know about shaved ice, right? You know about ice cream, right? Next we are going to make ice cream. The kind with bean stuffing in the middle." Zhang Xiaobao had no other choice. He could only come up with this idea. There were no ice fruits with stuffing yet. He could sell them for a few days and earn a few days' worth of money. Then he told Li Sun how to make ice cream bit by bit. Will it really work? Won't the bean paste and ice hurt your stomach if you eat them all at once? Li Sun had never eaten ice cream before. He was slightly worried. "No, don't worry about it. Just cook the beans. It's autumn here, and it's not as cold as the north. We can still sell them for a month or two. It's just enough for the local people who have nothing to do to find a job." Zhang Xiaobao had to insist. Otherwise, he would be lying to Li Sun. "All right, I'll make it when I get back." "No, I'll send someone back immediately." "That's a good idea. I'm going to try it at Lu Zhou's place. It's more convenient there and there's more sugar. What do you think about the mountain people on the island we occupied? When we bring them back, it'll be more difficult for the people of this dynasty to eat sugar than salt." Li Sun took this to heart. Not only did he want to experiment here, but he also wanted to bring this thing to Lu Zhou. After all, he had his holiday villa there. When Zhang Xiaobao saw Li Sun's insistence, he thought there would be no losses, so he nodded in agreement. "All right, that's a good idea. In that case, you'll send someone to support this business. In fact, people will eat these things even in winter." Li Sun fooled around and really sent someone back to make the ice cream. After knowing who was coming, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could no longer let the group travel at a leisurely pace. After they found Zhang Zhong, the group sped up. At night, they only rested the horses for a while before they continued to move forward. When the sun rose again, Zhang Zhong finally returned to his residence. He originally thought that Yao Chong would be able to see him first, so he had already packed up. Unfortunately, Yao Chong did not seem to care about a provincial governor like him, even if he was a top scorer. The first people he wanted to meet were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He did not know if Yao Chong liked smart children or if he thought the two children were easier to deal with. Zhang Xiaobao also thought Yao Chong would meet with his father first. After all, he would be living with the Zhang family and the Wang family in the future. Etiquette could not be neglected. Even if he did not come personally because of his status, he had to invite his father over. In the end, he was told that he and Wang Wan were invited over. It was a very small matter. If it were other children, it would be fine. Moreover, Zhang Zhong also had the same intention. However, Zhang Xiaobao was crazy. He would not allow others to look down on his family. He directly said to the person sick, "Cuckoo and I are both sick. We can't go for a while. Go back." The person looked at the big child in front of him in disbelief. He was a member of the Yao family. How could he be sent away like this? What illness? He could not tell. Riding on a horse, he could even make funny faces at the children in the house that he had never seen before. This made the person angry. He felt that the child in front of him was looking down on him. He snorted coldly and said, "What illness? Can you cure it? Do you have a toothache and you snort at me? I only know that pigs sleep after they are full. When they wake up they eat. When they have nothing to do they just snort. This is the first time I have seen a person with this illness. You are spoiled. Get lost. Who do you think you are?" Zhang Xiaobao was no longer as good-natured as before. He scolded the man and chased him away. "Xiaobao, you don't have to be like this, right? Since Lord Yao is looking for you, you can just go." Zhang Zhong was also listening at the side. Seeing that his son suddenly lost his temper, he advised. Zhang Xiaobao glared at the person who still dared to look back after leaving. He said to his father, "Father, face is given by others." He must have gone directly and said that you wanted to see Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and asked them to come quickly. If it were another provincial governor's child, he would have come. What did a child know? The adults would not dare to stop him. However, how could Xiaobao of the Zhang family be so easily fooled? He had already given you and me face by not letting him stay. If it were another person, Xiaobao would have broken his leg. If you don't believe me, you can ask him whether it was true or not. After hearing Old Man Pai's words, Yao Chong immediately knew what he meant. If he were in Old Man Pai's shoes, he would also be angry. He looked at the person who was beaten and did not say anything. He just stared at him. "Master, I thought that since you were here they should come to visit in person. I thought that they should find their child first. When I went over just now, not only did they not prepare to come, they even planned to rest." The man was so scared that he trembled and tried to defend himself. "Then the child of the Zhang family scolded me as a pig? It's my fault for not being strict enough. I let Long Zhe laugh at me. Go get 30 lashes yourself." As soon as Yao Chong heard his subordinate's explanation, he understood. It was a typical case of taking advantage of one's position to bully others. He did not expect that such a thing could happen in his family. After driving the person away, Yao Chong thought for a while and really did not know what to do. If he went over now, they would be resting. If he did not go, then the Zhang family might think that he was the one who instigated what happened just now. In desperation, he could only look at Old Man Pai, hoping that he could help him make a decision. After all, he was familiar with the Zhang family and the Wang family. Old Man Pai thought for a while and said to Yao Chong, "Yunji, why don't the two of us go and take a look? Have someone bring the things from the capital. I think the Zhang family and the Wang family should have received the news last night and should have rushed back. If we send someone to invite them, they should come over. Zhang Zhong is resting well, but his family must have a good rest." Yao Chong understood the meaning of these words. Since the person he sent had offended them, it was not good to send someone to invite them. He could only go himself. Not to mention that he was not the prime minister now. Even if he was, the Zhang family would not care. Who let them be so powerful? So what if they offended the prime minister? Let the emperor kill them? That was impossible. It was possible to send them away. Could be done with some tricks. But what about Shuzhou? The rent tax for this year had not been paid yet. Besides, what could they do even if they were sent away? Where would they be sent away? The last time they were sent to an official, it was no different from being sent away. If they were sent to Luzhou all of a sudden, other people would have a slim chance of survival. If the Zhang family and the Wang family went there, they would have a good life. Not only did they take care of the local people, but they also opened their business there. That was the most remote place. Oh, there was another place that was even more remote, and that was Chongzhou. It was isolated overseas. But others were afraid. But would the Zhang family be afraid? If they went there, they would be connected to Luzhou. They could not wait to go there. When he thought of this, Yao Chong looked at his clothes, nodded and said, "All right, let's go and have a look. Let's see how many skills this Zhang Zhong has learned. Men, prepare the gifts and come with me." When Old Man Pai and Old Man Yao arrived at the provincial capital together, Zhang Zhong was looking through the things that had been left behind for the past few days. Most of the small matters had been settled by others. The rest was up to him to decide. For example, someone had proposed to build a bridge across the river. The person who proposed to build the bridge was a local minor official in charge of water conservancy. No one knew what he was thinking. How could he dare to propose such a thing? That was the Yangtze River, not a small river. How could he want to build a bridge on it? However, since he had proposed it, he had to take a good look at it. It was written very clearly. It was to use boats and find someone to cast countless large iron pillars. Then they would send a big boat like the Zhang families and find a way to erect the pillars into the water. After that, they would put wood on top of the pillars. Whimsical. How did they figure it out? A minor official is a minor official. Where can they find so much iron? How can they transport it by boat? Do they think that my boat can hold up everything? If they could build a bridge, they would have built it on the Yellow River. The Yangtze River flows faster than the Yellow River. Zhang Zhong raised his pen and prepared to criticize this official. However, just as his pen was about to touch the paper, he stopped. The reason was very simple. He also hoped that there would be a bridge connecting the north and south. That way it would be very convenient. The people who came and went would not have to take the risk of taking a boat. In addition to this advantage, it would be very convenient for transportation. He really did not have the ability, and the minor official's method would not work. However, he still had his son and daughter-in-law. If he asked them, they might be able to think of a way. Zhang Zhongru thought about it and wrote a few words on the paper that was sent to him. The meaning was that this method was not feasible. The problem of iron was not easy to solve. Even if the iron was obtained, the ship would not be able to carry it. He wanted him to think about it carefully. After commenting on this, just as Zhang Zhong was about to look at the next one, someone came to report that Official Bai and Official Yao had come to visit. Zhang Zhong could not ignore them. After all, they had come personally. It seemed that his son had done the right thing. As he let people open the door, he tidied his clothes and brought people to welcome them. This was a formal visit. Unlike usual, if it was Old Man Pai who came alone, there was no need to open the door. This moment he had to be polite. As the door creaked open, Zhang Zhong quickly stood at the door and said to Bai Go and Yao Chong, "I did not know that Official Bai and Official Yao would be here. I hope that you will forgive me for not welcoming you. Please come in. Lord Zhang is indeed young and capable. Sorry for disturbing you. Please come in." Yao Chong understood that they were welcoming him. Old Man Pai did not need to be welcomed. He came here as if it was his own home. The three of them were polite until they came to the living room. As the servants served tea and snacks, Zhang Zhong spoke first. "Official Yao, you have traveled a long way. Have you gotten used to it? If you feel uncomfortable, you only need to send someone here. There is no need to trouble yourself to come here." "Yes, I have seen many things along the way. However, the place I want to see the most is Shuzhou. As long as Lord Zhang is there, I think the lives of the people will be good." Yao Chong also spoke politely. It was not the first time he came out. How could he not get used to it? He already knew what this place was like. "Yongqing, this is Yuanji and he does not plan to leave. He wants to stay here with this old man. Yuanji's body is not very good. I will have to trouble you." At this time, Old Man Pai also spoke. With one sentence he closed the relationship, no longer being polite. "Is that so? Good. With Official Yao by my side, I will have to ask for more advice in the future. I will arrange it. Even though Zhang Zhong had almost guessed it, he was very excited when he heard Old Man Pai's words at this moment. He had one more powerful person by his side. As long as there was something he did not understand, he could ask. He could not always trouble his son. His son and daughter-in-law had to study by themselves, take care of their younger siblings, and give ideas from time to time. What if they were tired? Zhang Zhong was a man of his word. He called people over. One was to let the doctors get ready. The other was to let the chefs of Sea Cloud House see what kind of recipes they should make. The treatment could not be bad. At least it had to be the same as by Go. It did not matter how much money was spent. This kind of good thing was that others did not have the chance to spend money even if they wanted to. Old Man Pai looked at Zhang Zhong's arrangement and signaled Yao Chong with his eyes. He meant to say, "Did you see that? I am not wrong, right?" After Zhang Zhong arranged it, Old Man Pai asked again, "I heard that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are sick. I have to go and see them." "Ah, sick? Oh, what happened before?" "It's all because of Xiao Bao's bad temper. I don't know what happened to this child. He drove them away. Why bother?" Zhang Zhong knew what by go meant. He sighed and said. Yao Chong knew that this was an opportunity to solve the misunderstanding, so he told the whole story. He mainly emphasized that his family was not strict enough. Since he had said it, Zhang Zhong did not think about it. He could also see that the two people did not want to say much to him. They mainly wanted to introduce their son and daughter-in-law. When they were almost done, he said, "Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are reading in the courtyard of the Four Little Guys. Please follow me." "No, you do your work. You have a lot of things to do. First finish the things that have been put down for the past few days. Yuanji and I will go there by ourselves." Old Man Pai saw the documents on the case when he passed by just now. He did not want to disturb them. Zhang Zhong was really a good official. He wanted to do something practical for the people. Zhang Zhong did not insist. He found someone to accompany them. After he sent them to the door, he turned back to continue his work. Since the people kept saying that he was a good official, he had to pretend. Old Man Pai and Old Man Yao came to the courtyard of the children under the guidance of others. At this time, the 6 children were rolling around on the marble ground. Only 3 of the things that were shining on the ground were not extinguished. The rest were all gone. The maids did not care much. They just watched by the side. As long as they rolled over, they would push them back. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were playing chess not far away. After reading for a while, they felt that it was a little unsuitable. After all, they had been out for a few days. They needed to rest when they came back, so they began to play chess. Both of them were not stupid. They had come into contact with Go before. Wang Wan had learned it at home, while Zhang Xiaobao had scammed them. Who asked those officials to be so useless in governing the country? They were always studying calligraphy, painting, playing Go, antiques, and so on. Some of them could even sing a couple of pop songs. No one knew where they learned it from. When meeting such people, they could not talk about the people and the livelihood of the people. Zhang Xiaobao had to study this kind of thing that had nothing to do with the people's livelihood in order to cheat people. Chapter 567. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were playing the current version of Go, not the modified version from Japan. This was not because of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's views on Japan. Although both of them were very anti-Japanese in terms of Go, they had to admit that after Japan's changes, it was more fair to play. The reason why the two of them played this way was to cater to others in the future. For example, if they were playing Go with an official, they couldn't ask the official to play according to their rules, right? The official could be suppressed, but if the emperor played Go with them, they could also tell the emperor that their rules were not good. They had to play according to their rules. Then the emperor would not have it easy. If he didn't kill them, would he be relieved? This rule was originally an old rule, but for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan it was a new rule. The two of them were not used to it. They had been playing Go for 3 years, and it was still the same now. Their previous thinking always affected the current way of playing. But even so, with the experience of their predecessors, the Go they played was not comparable to ordinary people, especially the various ancient Go records. If they wanted to learn Go, they first had to understand the rules, then they had to play the records. The two of them were playing Go now. When Old Man Pai and Old Man Yao came over, they just happened to see the layout of the Go board. The two of them were stunned at the same time. Just as they were about to take a closer look, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly wiped the Go pieces, messed up the Go board and said, "I'm not playing anymore, I always lose." "Well, then I'm not playing anymore." Wang Wan also found that there were 2 more people watching. This kind of famous game could not be taken out casually. It was easy to be praised high and then be flattened. The two of them stopped playing, but Old Man Bai and Old Man Yao had memorized quite a lot of what they had just seen. They felt that something was not right with this Go game. At the very least, it was not something that 2 children could play. It was as if they had seen the gleam of the blade and the shadow of the sword amidst the majestic wind. It could be said that every step was thrilling. How was it possible? Seeing that they messed up the Go board, the two old men were more certain that it was not simple. Let's continue, said Old Man Pai, who wanted to continue watching. I'm not playing anymore. It's not fun. Grandpa Bai, you're back? Did you eat well outside? Zhang Xiaobao asked Old Man Pai as he started to put the chess pieces into the box. All right. Actually, a few more days won't hurt. It's good to go out for a walk. I heard that you and Cuckoo are sick. What happened? Old Man Pai deliberately teased Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Zhang Xiaobao glanced at the other person and knew that it was Yao Chong. It was a good opportunity to vent his anger, so he replied, actually, it's not a serious illness. I'm just tired. So tired that I fell ill. My head hurts. I'm playing chess to relieve it. This was the first time the two old men had heard that a headache could be relieved by playing chess. Wouldn't that mean that the more they played, the more painful their head would be? Old Man Pai continued to ask, how did you get tired? Zhang Xiaobao was waiting for this sentence. Math. Calculating made me tired. It said that from here to the riverside, you have to walk 660,000 feet. From the riverside, you only need 640,000 feet. How is it short? Cuckoo, and I haven't been able to calculate it. It also said that if I were to walking 1,800 feet would be the same as walking 2,200 feet for Cuckoo. They're both 200 feet long, and then, wait, why do you have to use a ruler to calculate? If the number is too big, wouldn't it be too small if it's changed to li? When the time comes, it'll be easy to calculate it into a ruler. Yao Chong didn't know what was wrong with him. He also wanted to learn from Old Man Pai and tease Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Zhang Xiaobao really didn't expect the two of them to be fooled. However, when Yao Chong asked, Zhang Xiaobao finally found an excuse and immediately said, there's no other way. Originally, this place was also reasonable. However, since people who don't understand reason started to not understand it, then we can only use a ruler and a zhang to calculate. Yao Chong was in his teens and had seen everything in his life. He had long become unperturbed. However, when he heard Zhang Xiaobao's words today, his old face turned red. He understood that Zhang Xiaobao was scolding someone, and the person he was scolding was him. He was saying that he was unreasonable. Who asked the person he sent to not do a good job? No, he would go back and give him 20 more whips. Without him, would he be scolded? Ha 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 ha. How about it, Yuanji? Now you know, right? It's fine to offend adults, but you can't offend children. Xiaobao, be reasonable. Everyone is reasonable. Some people are lawless just because the people behind them are powerful. Since they have been dealt with, don't make things difficult for others. Tell us, what is the thing that dropped? Old Man Pai laughed. After laughing until Yao Chong's face turned from red to black, he said something to Zhang Xiaobao. He believed that Zhang Xiaobao would understand what he meant. Zhang Xiaobao indeed understood. It seemed that that person must have been dealt with when he went back. That was why Grandpa Bai and Yao Chong came over personally. Since someone was unlucky, then forget it. Yao Chong wasn't that stupid. He could clearly distinguish what should be done and what shouldn't be done. Grandpa Bai, it seems that you are a blessed person. My head doesn't hurt anymore when you come. Cuckoo, how about you? Zhang Xiaobao had recovered. Wang Wan nodded, meaning that she had also recovered. It was very miraculous. Since you don't feel uncomfortable anymore, then tell me why the thing that was hung up lit up. Old Man Pai had been troubled by this matter. He couldn't sleep well. Zhang Xiaobao was waiting for these 3 lights to go out. When that time came, he would see what was going on. Was it a problem with the material? Or was it because the air wasn't sucked dry? At this time, when he heard Old Man Pai ask, he said, this thing can't be explained in a sentence or two. There are too many things involved. Grandpa Bai, you just need to know that this thing uses a type of electricity, and the place where the windmill is can produce electricity. What is electricity? For example, when you wear a sweater in the winter and take it off when you sleep, sometimes you can hear crackling sounds and see sparks. This is a type of electricity. Electricity can be used to make this thing light up. After Zhang Xiaobao spoke, Old Man Pai and Old Man Yao both sank into deep thought. They had indeed only encountered the kind of thing that happened when you took off your sweater in the winter. So this was the case. The electricity that lit up. This thing was probably the thing that could cause that kind of situation to happen continuously. Then what is the use of this thing? Does it mean that we don't need to light candles in the future? Is it expensive? Old Man Pai had long known that the Zhang family wanted to make money by making something, so he directly asked for the price. It's expensive. The thing that can produce electricity costs 1,000 strings of coins. It uses a lot of copper and also requires magnets. This thing is cheaper. Costs 50 strings of coins. It can't be sold now. The time that it lights up is too short. No one can spend that kind of money. We have to think of a way to make it light up for a longer time. Zhang Xiaobao repeated what he thought to Old Man Pai. Anyway, the price had already been set. No one could change it. Old Man Pai estimated the price and knew that it could not be used by ordinary people. The thing that could make this thing light up costs 1,000 strings of coins. How many ordinary people could not earn money in their lifetime? And the thing that could light up costs 50 strings of coins. How could ordinary people afford it? Seeing Old Man Pai frown, Zhang Xiaobao knew what Old Man Pai was thinking. This wish was beautiful, but it could not be realized. After all, the technology was there. Did he want to connect the whole country to electricity? This project should be completed by future generations. He did not have the ability to do so. What he could do was to use this thing to make money, and at the same time change people's minds. Grandpa, actually it doesn't have to be so expensive. As long as you buy a lot of these things called light bulbs, you can get a free thing that can produce electricity. After research and understanding it, these light bulbs should be able to be used for a month. One light bulb can light up at least 10 candles. It's cheaper than lighting candles. Zhang Xiaobao added. Old Man Yao nodded. He felt that it was indeed so. That meant it was saving money. However, Old Man Pai did not think so. He asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Is that thing that can produce electricity able to make many light bulbs light up?" "Yes, more or less. As long as there is a good place and power that can make the generator work, it won't be a problem even if 100 light bulbs light up. When the time comes, the whole yard will be lit up." Zhang Xiaobao already felt that Old Man Pai had found the problem. Sure enough, after Old Man Pai heard this answer, he said, "That is to say, as long as this thing called generator can make as many light bulbs light up, people who can afford it will try their best to make as many light bulbs light up as possible, right? You can't let the generator's electricity go to waste, right? Also, every rich family will compare themselves with each other. You are selling too many light bulbs. It's not like you don't know how much a light bulb is worth. Can't it be 20 strings of coins? How much is it worth? Grandpa, how much do you think this light bulb is worth? Give me a number. My family will pay for it. As long as my family can afford it, I will buy it. You can get someone to make one. It's best if it can be a light bulb that can last longer." Zhang Xiaobao immediately asked. Old Man Pai was speechless. He really didn't think about the problem of technology. Other people didn't know how to make glass. Even if they could use colored glass to replace it, they wouldn't be able to make such a shape. Who knew that the light bulb was blown out? Even if the shape was blown out, how could it light up? No one knew what was inside. Even though he knew how the glass was made, people who didn't know wouldn't be able to make it even if they had millions of strings of coins. This was the most valuable part. Just like the propeller. How much did it cost to make a propeller? Wasn't it just stainless steel? Why couldn't others know about it? It was because they were afraid that others would learn it. Technology was the most important. The simplest example was how much a cucumber in winter in the north was worth. How many cucumbers could be grown with that technology? Old Man Pai was no longer the person who used to measure things based on their actual value. He knew the importance of technology. After considering all kinds of aspects, Old Man Pai looked at Old Man Yao and asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Tell me the truth. How much is the cost of this thing, not including the cost of the technology?" Zhang Xiaobao didn't answer. Instead, he looked at Old Man Yao. Old Man Yao immediately swore, "I promise that I won't tell anyone outside of this place. Otherwise, my Yao family will have no descendants. I won't even tell the emperor." Zhang Xiaobao smiled and said, "Actually, I'm not afraid that you two grandpas will tell anyone. At most it's just the last thing. To be honest, this light bulb costs 5 or 6 coins. The expensive part is the generator. It needs magnets or good magnets. More importantly, it needs a lot of copper. 1 copper is 1,000 pieces. It can be made with less than 20 strings of copper. If you include the various wires, that is to say with 30 strings of copper, it won't be a problem to buy 1,000 light bulbs and a generator. If you include the windmill and the consumption after failure, 40 strings of copper will be enough. Then why is your family selling it so expensive? The 2 old men said at the same time. Their hearts also lit up. A light bulb only costs 4 or 5 coins and could be lit for more than a month. Didn't that mean that ordinary people with a little money could use it? 1 generator per family would be enough. A generator like that could light up 1,000 light bulbs, and it wouldn't break down so easily. If 1,000 families used 1 generator, then the cost would be even lower. There was indeed little copper, but wasn't there copper in the newly discovered place? Zhang Xiaobao knew what they were thinking when he saw their expressions. He said, Grandpa Yao, it's not what you think. I said that a generator can light up 1,000 light bulbs, but that's only in theory. Grandpa knows what theory is. It's impossible in reality. It can't be turned that fast. Moreover, this generator also has a time limit. It's about the same as the light bulbs. It's not bad to use it for 2 months. It has to be done bit by bit. You can't eat a mouthful and become fat. So that's how it is. Then 100 families will do. At most, the cost of this generator, your family will pay for it. Let's light up a state first. Old Man Yao and Zhang Xiaobao's families had only been in contact for a short time. There were many things that he didn't know, which was why he said that. We can pay for it, but can you guarantee that this technology won't be stolen by others? Especially this generator. If others learn it, then trouble will come. Grandpas, come with me. I'll show you something fun. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he pulled Wang Wan up and asked someone to bring out a generator from the warehouse. He put it on the carriage and drove with the 2 old men. After an hour, they arrived at the side of a large river. They tied up a horse and asked someone to drive it to provide power. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan each took a line to the side of the river. They found a good position and put the 2 lines into the water. Old Man Bai and Old Man Yao saw an extremely frightening scene. The fishes in the water started to float up, one by one. Grandpa Yao, do you see this? This thing can be used like this. It has a wide range of uses. If we want to light up a state, how many people would have to be sent to guard each place? How much manpower would the guards have to waste? It's not worth it. Zhang Xiaobao said as he took back one of the lines in his hand. This was what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan valued the most. This was technology that could generate electricity. Anything that was produced in the future would require the support of this generator. There was an even more important matter that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not mention. Now was not the right time to tell them. Old Man Pai and Old Man Yao finally understood. The generator was very important and had many uses. If it was stolen or taken away, the Tang Empire would suffer a great loss. Treasure, it really is a treasure. No wonder you said that you had to meet their requirements. So that's why, Old Man Yao said with emotion. Old Man Pai knew that he was not talking about the generator, but the person that the Zhang family could not find. Things were dead, but people were alive. The real treasure was the person. With such a person, what else was there to worry about? Old Man Bai understood this principle a long time ago. He would not go there personally, as it would be easy for him to get lost in the sea. Old Man Pai knew that the Zhang family had many secrets, so he did not press them. It was not a coincidence that he could understand so many things now. He had put in a lot of effort to gain the recognition of the Zhang family and Wang family. Otherwise, with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's smart looks, how could they reveal all the secrets? Old Man Yao was also getting used to it. He also understood that the 2 children in front of him were not easy to fool, especially after Zhang Xiaobao's reaction after the people he sent did the wrong thing. Other than the current emperor who was smart when he was young, whose child could be so smart? He immediately knew that he should not come to meet him and Old Man Pai. On the way back, Old Man Pai deliberately sat in the same car as Old Man Yao and drove Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to another car. He still had something to say to Old Man Yao. Yuanji, you must remember one thing. That is, it is not a big deal to lie to Xiaobao and Cuckoo. The 2 children are just playing with us. It is okay to be tricked and suffer losses, but you must not lie to their families. For his father, that Xiaobao is willing to do anything. Old Man Pai warned Old Man Yao in the car. Old Man Yao was really not clear about this matter. He asked Longzhe, what will happen if I bully Zhang? After bullying me, he will run back to the capital. What can that child do? Then he can ask the emperor to hand you over. If he doesn't hand you over, he will blow up the capital. Don't doubt whether he will do it or not. Don't test whether he dares or not. There is only one chance. He is special to his family. Look at the 4 children's houses. Don't you know? When Old Man Pai thought of how Zhang Xiaobao dealt with people who looked down on his father or bullied his father, he trembled like a madman. In addition, the Zhang family did have something very dangerous, so no one could stop him. Old Man Yao nodded and said, I saw it. Although the outside of the house is well made and other spices are used, I smell it. There is agarwood inside. Could it be? Yes, the entire house is made of agarwood. Xiaobao and Cuckoo are very good to their family. The master who taught them also seems to spoil them. Many things are not made to make money, but to make their family more comfortable. The 2 children are smart, but the best thing about them is not in their studies, but in their cooking and making clothes. The clothes they make are the most comfortable to wear, and the food they make is also the best. It is to make their family more comfortable. Do you understand? Old Man Pai touched his clothes, meaning that he also had clothes made for the 2 children. Yao Chong had experienced so many things in his life, but now he was shocked by Old Man Pai's words. He really did not expect it to be like this. He could not understand, really could not understand. At the same time, he was a little jealous of the Zhang family and the Wang family. They gave birth to a son and a daughter, and they were so sensible and filial since they were young. Now you know, right? This is also the reason why I am not willing to interact with the rest of the Zhang family and the Wang family. If I don't pay attention when I speak, the 2 children will definitely be angry, so I usually stay with the 2 children. The food they make is delicious and they know how to take care of people. There is nothing wrong with joking with them and lying to them. Many people do not know and offend Zhang. The result is that they can neither live nor die. Needless to say, the 2 children will blow up the capital for their family. With their methods and the guidance of the master behind them, they can use benefits to exchange for other people's lives. If you don't believe me, you can find someone with enough power to try and see if they will give up all their technology in order to buy that person's life. If you don't like anyone, you can ask that person to come and find trouble with Zhang. Old Man Pai looked at Old Man Yao's shocked expression and said a few more words. This time Old Man Yao finally believed him. He did not think that Old Man Pai would lie to him. He asked, then how can I let the 2 children follow me and ask for more information in the future? That's simple. Just teach them knowledge and they will follow you. They are very eager to learn. After teaching them, you will know. It is lucky to be able to teach such children. Smart, you can't find anyone smarter. Chapter 568. Old Man Bai and Old Man Yao did not bring up the matter of the light bulb again. Wang Wan also took out the knowledge that she had taught Zhang Xiaobao, and taught it to the 2 old men. Old Man Pai had the foundation of nature, so he could learn relatively quickly. Old Yao was confused when he saw what Wang Wan had written. He could only let Old Man Pai teach him the first part first. At this time, the military registrar and the others couldn't stay idle. The 2 mines couldn't be mined yet, so there were people who went to take a look from time to time. These people weren't sent by Zhang, but they were related to Zhang. After all, he had asked many people to go there to recite poems. Other people went there to see if the scenery was as beautiful as what was written in the poems. As a result, there were people going there every day. Some people didn't even care about the poems and just went there to look at the scenery. There were also people who specialized in fishing on top of the copper mines. The military registrar and the others wanted to secretly seal off the mines, but the Zhang family's people had to take a look every time they passed by, so they couldn't do anything. On this day, the military registrar called the 6 people over. At the same time, he asked the county magistrate of Taihu County to find an excuse to come over. The 8 of them were ready to discuss. In fact, the county magistrate of Taihu County didn't want to come at all. He had the least benefits, but he had to bear the most risks. He could imagine that if something happened to the two mines, the first person to be dealt with would be him. After all, he was the county magistrate there. But he had no other choice. He couldn't find a way to transfer himself away, and it wasn't the first time he had cooperated with other people. Once he boarded the pirate ship, it was harder to get out. The 8 of them gathered together under the reluctance of the county magistrate. The military registrar spoke first. You know what happened recently? Besides Bai Go, there is another person we can't afford to offend. Maybe in a few days there will be more people coming. If that time comes, we won't have any chance. With high officials like them, what can they not understand? At the same time, their methods are not ordinary. Now I want to ask, what are you going to do? Are we going to keep the mines like we are doing now? Or are we going to follow the instructions in the letter? He spoke casually, as if it had nothing to do with him. Every time he said you guys, the 7 of them understood. What he meant was that if something went wrong, they would have to bear the responsibility, but if they got something good, they would have to join the army and take the lion's share. The 7 of them were under a lot of pressure. The one with the most pressure was the county magistrate of Taihu County. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but in the end he closed it again. He knew that even if he really came up with a good idea, no one would credit him for it. Why bother? After all, it was not his problem alone. At this time he had already decided that if he was really regarded as a scapegoat, he would say whatever he wanted to say. He would not care about others at all, even if they threatened him with his family. He was not ignorant at all. He knew that most of the time what others said was simply a lie. They said something like, protect your family, don't let go, and find a way to get some poison to feed you. Everything will be fine after you eat it. In the end, everything will be fine. In the future, no one will care whether your family lives or dies. That was exactly what he thought. He closed his mouth tightly, waiting to see what the others would say. As he thought, the other 6 people kept looking at him unconsciously, which meant that he had to take the responsibility. He pretended not to see it. At this time, the military registrar also echoed, well, that's right. It's not easy now. If we have to wait for Zhang Zhong to leave, it will take more than a year. How much less mining will we have to do? Even if we can wait, the people above can't wait. It's all money. How about this? In Taihu County, we will chase away all the people who want to watch the show. Then we won't have to worry about being discovered by others. What do you think? When he said that, the county magistrate of Taihu County really wanted to bite him to death. It was easy to say, but could things really be done that way? If he gave the order, he would be courting death. This was not only known by the county magistrate of Taihu County, but also by the other people. They did not agree with the military registrar's words. What was the use of saying a way to harm others? If they really did harm to a county magistrate, who could guarantee that the new county magistrate would be obedient? The military registrar was reasonable. He glared at the military registrar and said, this method definitely won't work. If that's the case, Zhang Zhong will have an excuse. With one less person, we will have less strength. Think about it again. If there is really no good way, then we will do as what is written in the letter. When we do it, we have to be discreet and not let anyone find out. Otherwise, not only will we lose our lives, but our families will also be implicated. Who can do anything about it? You don't have to be afraid, just say it and we will discuss it together. Let's use that method, I agree. When the military registrar saw that his superior was looking at him, he could only choose to support him, even if his heart was beating faster and faster. Wait, I think we don't have to do this. There are other methods. At this time, the county magistrate of Taihu County could no longer remain silent. He was scared to death. Even if he was not allowed to send people this time, he could not think of running away. If that was the case, it was better to use his own 2 methods. The other 7 people immediately looked at him, hoping that he could come up with a better idea. After taking 2 deep breaths, the county magistrate of Taihu County said, one is to seal off those 2 places and prevent others from going there. Then we can secretly mine. I already said this just now, but you didn't say anything, the military registrar said unhappily. The county magistrate of Taihu County could not refute, so he could only bear with it and explain, "My method is not to force people to go there. That will definitely cause trouble. However, we can act mysterious and scare people so that they won't dare to go there. As long as you give me 10 days, I have a way to come up with the second method, which is to lure Zhang to investigate us. If he doesn't investigate us, then it's fine. As long as he does, then we have an excuse to impeach him. At the same time, we can also get help from the higher-ups." "Oh, is it really feasible? Tell me in detail." The military registrar was interested. Just like what the county magistrate of Taihu County thought, if there was a mistake, he could push the blame to others. If there was a merit, then he would take the biggest share. It would be a waste not to take advantage of such benefits. The county magistrate of Taihu County felt very wronged, but he had no choice but to say the entire method to get everyone to agree. He really did not dare to do as the letter said. That was a disaster that could destroy his entire family. If he harmed others, he would not be able to get away with it. However, the higher-ups would be fine. After the county magistrate of Taihu County explained his method, the military registrar was the first to praise, "Good, not bad. We have discussed a good method today. Now, we will let the county magistrate of Taihu County carry it out. Does anyone have any other ideas?" "Sir, you are indeed amazing. You have so many ideas. I admire you. I have no other opinions," the military registrar immediately said. The other 5 judges also kept on praising the military registrar. The county magistrate of Taihu County did not have any angry expression, even though the method he just said was thought of by the military registrar in less than 10 breaths. "You must do this well. Don't waste the method we thought of. There is no other method like this. You must cherish it," the military registrar said to the county magistrate of Taihu County with a kind face. "Sir, please rest assured. I will definitely do this well. Thank you for your advice." What else could Taihu County's county magistrate say? He had seen shameless people before. However, he could only bear with it since he had turned into a shameless and two-faced person. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were not here, so they did not know the content of the conversation. Otherwise, they would realize that these officials were no different from the officials of their time. It meant that if the people below wanted to achieve good results, they had to first pass the method to the higher-ups. Then it would become the higher-ups' idea. This way the results would belong to the higher-ups. If the results were wrong, the people below would bear the responsibility. If the results were right, they would be promoted and become rich. If the officials below dared to do a good job without the higher-ups knowing, the first thing they would do was to suppress them with public opinion. When they realized that the public opinion could not suppress them, they would transfer them to the retirement section. It would be useless even if the people jointly wanted to protect the good officials. In addition to this kind of official circle, there was also the academic circle. As long as the disciple researched something, it would belong to the teacher. All the results, including the thesis, would belong to the teacher. Otherwise, it would be disrespectful to the teacher. This was also the reason why so many talents stayed abroad and did not come back. At this time, the 8 officials were performing such a scene. It was a blatant robbery. They had to smile and flatter when they were being robbed. Just like what Zhang Xiaobao once said to Wang Wan, the real actors were not in the film industry, but in the official circle. Therefore, if they wanted to cheat, it was better to cheat the officials than to cheat the actors. The 8-party meeting ended. The county magistrate of Taihu County left with the military registrar's good idea. He did not need to ask too much about the details because he knew better than anyone. After adding one more old man, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had to take some time to accompany the 3 old men every day. For example, they would electrocute the fish and paint the light bulbs in various colors. Anyway, they could always find something fun to do. Ever since they had the generator, the 3 old men had stopped fishing. They felt that this thing was more interesting. In the spirit of research, they would go to the generator once or twice a day. In the past 5 days, they had even been electrocuted themselves. Fortunately, the electrocution could be stopped at any time. The 3 old men were not in life-threatening danger. According to Wang Wan's words, one would know the strength of the wine after getting drunk. One would know the strength of the wine after getting electrocuted. After the 3 old men and the 2 children came to the river, The old men decided to give the electrocution to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, even if the two of them had no interest in it. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already prepared. The two of them took out a pair of large leather boots, the kind that was made of 2 layers of leather. They put gum in the middle and stepped into the water. After feeling it for a while, they put the wires in their hands into the water. They also wore gloves on their hands. The two of them were not as stupid as the 3 old men. They did not know the insulation and directly jumped into the river. It would be strange if they were not electrocuted. Xiaobao Cuckoo, how can you do this? Can this thing prevent people from being electrocuted? Why didn't you say so before? Old man Chang pretended to be angry and said. After he was electrocuted, he felt uncomfortable from his head, neck and stomach. Now that he saw the things that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan used, he immediately understood that there was a way to protect them. In the past, the 2 little guys were unwilling to take it out. Ah, what? Cuckoo and I are actually afraid of water. We get confused when we see water, especially when we stand in the water. That's why we wear boots. Grandpa Zhang, since you want one, I'll make one for you later. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan explained to Old Man Chang after they had been electrocuted for more than 10 days. Old Man Chang was stunned for a moment before nodding. It was not that he acknowledged Zhang Xiaobao's words, but that he acknowledged Zhang Xiaobao's shamelessness. When had Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan ever been afraid of water? Amidst the laughter of the crowd, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already electrocuted quite a lot of fish. It seemed that it was enough for their families to eat today. Only then did they stop. Just as the two of them stopped, before they could explain anything, a fast horse came to their side. The person on the horse did not even dismount and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "Young master, young lady, Taihu County is haunted. Now no one dares to go there. Master asked me to come and find you two to go back." Haunted? I think it's just a trick. Even a big ghost like me can't do anything, who would dare to? Zhang Xiaobao did not believe in ghosts at all. If it was another place he might hesitate. However, it was impossible for something like this to happen in Taihu County. The only explanation was that the other party had thought of a way and was preparing to mine. To Zhang Xiaobao this was good. He was waiting for an opportunity to occupy the 2 mines. To be precise, he was waiting for Li Sun to occupy them. He was worried about where to start. Now that the other party had made a move, what should he do? He could only accept it. After letting the person go back first, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan prepared to leave. The 3 old men did not know about this matter and immediately stopped them. "Xiaobao Cuckoo, what happened? Which place is haunted? How is that possible?" Old Man Pai asked doubtfully. Zhang Xiaobao saw that the 3 of them were also concerned about this matter, so he could only tell the 3 of them what had happened. They are too bold. Don't they know that our dynasty is currently lacking in copper? They actually want to secretly mine at this time. No, this matter cannot be let go so easily. I will write a report to impeach them. Old Man Yao was angry and was about to do it. Old Man Pai immediately pulled him back and said, "Let's see what Xiaobao and Cuckoo have to say. In fact, it's not a big deal. The main thing is that we can't find evidence. Now that we are not afraid of them taking action, we are afraid that they have been hiding. Now it seems that they can't bear it anymore. That's good. Maybe we can find their weakness. When the time comes we will talk about it. These 2 mines have already been given to Li Sun. When the time comes, the marble mine will be managed by Li Sun himself. Even if the copper mine is mined, it will be sent to the capital. Li Sun will not refine copper himself, so you can rest assured. 3 grandpas, you don't have to interfere. Just watch from the side. It's just a small matter. My family has already prepared. Isn't it just a ghost? Let them be." Zhang Xiaobao was afraid that the 3 old men would want to meddle in this matter. That would make things difficult for him. After all, he had already promised Li Sun 2 mines. Even if there was one that Li Sun would not be able to obtain in the end. Yes. We are worried for nothing. How can we be needed for this kind of thing? The Zhang family must have already made arrangements. Since that's the case, let's do it. Does your family want to catch ghosts? Old Man Pai only reacted when he heard Zhang Xiaobao's words. He felt that it was impossible that the two masters of the Zhang family did not know about this kind of thing. Since they knew, of course, they would have a way to deal with it. Why were they still worrying here? Zhang Xiaobao did not explain and said, "We have to catch ghosts, but we can't go now. No matter what, we have to wait until they have mind enough, or if we go now, we won't get anything. The people here are ghostly. They are even more ghostly than ghosts. Oh, then I really need to take a good look and see what kind of methods your Zhang family has." This old man remembers now. "Your courtyard, oh, it's Xiaobei's courtyard. Could it be that the marble stones in that mine came from? No wonder your family is so generous and directly gave the children something to play with." Old Man Pai thought of the marble floor as he spoke. At first, he was wondering where the Zhang family found such good stones. Now everything was clear. The Zhang family should have gotten a batch of such things. That made sense. Zhang Xiaobao did not admit to this. Since he already knew, why should he say more? After getting on the horse with Wang Wan, he did not wait for the three old men to return and ran back home. As soon as he entered the house, he saw Zhang Zhong sitting there waiting. Zhang Zhong also saw his son and daughter-in-law at the same time. He stood up and asked the two of them, "Something happened over there. I heard that a person went crazy. Then a few people went over and also went crazy. They don't know anything. It's haunted. Can you go and catch them?" Zhang Zhong really believed that the place was haunted. Now, he was counting on the two immortal children to go and catch the ghosts so that the future plan could be carried out. "We can catch them. Dad, you don't have to worry. It's just a small matter. Leave it to me and Cuckoo. Don't worry now. We can catch them in a few days. At this time, the ghost is still not strong enough," Zhang Xiaobao said with certainty. "Wasn't it just a ghost? If they wanted to catch it, then just catch it. When the time came, what else could they do?" With his son's words, Zhang Zhong was relieved. Until now, he still thought that his son was telling the truth. The news of Taihu County being haunted spread like wildfire. Soon everyone knew about it. Not only did the people from the province know about it, even the people from the neighboring provinces also knew about it. Originally, many people wanted to go and take a look at the places that Zhang Zhong had been to, but now they gave up on this idea. They were also afraid. No matter how powerful Zhang Zhong was, he was still a mortal. That place was haunted. Especially after knowing about the haunted place, Zhang Zhong was still indifferent. This made more people anxious. In their opinion, even if the provincial governor Zhang Zhong didn't go and take a look himself, he should at least find someone to catch the ghost. However, provincial governor Zhang Zhong didn't do anything. The first thought that came to the people's minds was that even the provincial governor couldn't do anything. Perhaps he had secretly sent someone to catch the ghost but failed. What would he do in the future? Under such an atmosphere, a rumor spread. It said that Zhang Zhong was an unlucky person. Otherwise, why would he be haunted after coming to Shuzhou? Especially when he personally went to the two places in Taihu Lake. In the beginning, no one believed this rumor at all. However, as more and more people talked about it, those who didn't believe it couldn't help but think in this direction. Now, the thing that the people wanted to see the most was Zhang Zhong personally come out to clarify the matter. However, Zhang Zhong still didn't do anything. It was as if he had admitted to this matter. The people started to panic. They weren't worried that Zhang Zhong had really attracted the ghost. They were worried about this year's harvest. If it was really like what others said, that provincial governor Zhang was an unlucky person, then would the provincial government still be able to succeed? This was a lot of money. Even though they had already agreed that they wouldn't have to compensate even if they failed, they had still put in effort. If they didn't do this work, they could do other things outside to earn more money. Now their time was delayed. As they thought about it, the people's hearts started to become unstable. Zhang Zhong also knew about the situation outside and was very anxious. In a situation where there was no other way, he went to find his son and daughter-in-law. He wanted to ask them what to do. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were really holding a wire and doing experiments in a porcelain basin in the courtyard. When they saw Zhang Zhong arrive, they could only stop what they were doing. "Xiaobao Cuckoo, do you know what the outside world is saying now? Everyone is saying that I attracted the ghost. Even those who learn from us are scared." Zhang Zhong really didn't want to trouble his son and daughter-in-law. He knew that the two of them were busy, but if he didn't look for them now, who else could he look for? The three old men had already looked for them, and their ideas were basically the same. That was to let Zhang Zhong go to Taihu County to take a look. Zhang Zhong came to ask his son and daughter-in-law if they also thought so. If so, then he would go and take a look and let people know that there was no ghost in that place. Of course, the premise was that he brought his son and daughter-in-law to catch the ghost. He believed that the ghost's skills were far inferior to his son and daughter-in-law's. Zhang Xiaobao listened to his father and said, "It seems that someone can't wait and has to use this method to test it. Now is not the time. Let's wait, father. Don't worry. You can do this now and then continue to stay here. Don't worry about the ghost or not, it's just a small matter." After telling the matter to his father, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan continued to experiment. With electricity they could do more things. If they didn't use it, it would be a waste of the electricity. Zhang Zhong saw that his son and daughter-in-law were not anxious, so he came up with another idea. This time he was relieved. He didn't want to disturb his son and daughter-in-law, and left Yuan to make arrangements. In the afternoon, many Yamen runners appeared in front of the provincial government. This group of Yamen runners surrounded the area in front of the provincial government. Curious, the commoners came closer to take a look. When they had gathered enough people, people began to move things out of the door. They were all boxes one after another. A total of 100 large boxes were moved out before they stopped. Zhang Zhong didn't appear. Steward Zhang stood in front of the boxes and shouted to the surrounding people, "Are you all scared by the ghost in Taihu County these days? Do you still think that it won't work? Don't be afraid. Today, I'll let everyone know Master's determination." After shouting this, Steward Zhang asked people to open all 100 boxes. As the boxes were opened, the surrounding people let out a burst of exclamations. The boxes were full of copper coins. If so many copper coins were poured out, they would be piled up into a small mountain. Steward Zhang was very satisfied with the reaction of the people. At this time he shouted a few more times, asking the people to keep quiet. When the people gradually quieted down, he continued to shout, "Do you see so much money? Master had said that as long as one followed the method of trapping and did not cause trouble for oneself, then even if one failed in the end, it would be fine. The money that was given out earlier would not need to be returned. Moreover, anyone who failed would be able to get 2 strings of money. It will be more than what you earn when you work outside during this period of time. Rest assured and don't be afraid even if something happens. You don't have to worry about those little ghosts in Taihu County." The solution to the crisis was very simple. The simple people didn't care about anything else as long as they could see the benefits in front of them. After the steward promised, one by one, they spread the news to the people they knew as fast as they could, especially the relatives who had already participated in the scheme. They were afraid that if their relatives didn't take care of them and went outside to work, they would earn less and lose more than they did now. After all, the steward of the provincial governor had said that as long as they didn't make trouble for themselves, they would compensate. Rumors came and went quickly. Those who didn't have much confidence in Zhang Zhong were no longer afraid. They continued to follow the method steadily. The ghosts were only in Taihu County. At worst they wouldn't go there. What else could they do? Could it be that the ghosts there would come to their side? The crisis that had just appeared disappeared just like that. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't spend much effort on this kind of thing. It wasn't worth it. It was just a small trick. Wasn't the bank run much more serious than this? Could it be that the crazy stock market couldn't be compared to this kind of simple problem? The human heart was complicated, but it was also simple. Compared to the officialdom, the affairs of the people were easier to deal with. As long as there was a little guarantee of benefits, it would be enough. No power was needed, and they wouldn't want to kill a certain official. Xiaobao, it seems that they are afraid, so they use such a despicable method. If they continue to do nothing, it will be very tiring. A sword that is not out of its sheath is the scariest sword. Once it is out of its sheath, it is nothing. Wang Wan put her mouth to the lead in the porcelain basin in front of her. After taking a breath, she said to Zhang Xiaobao, "This is a struggle. It's very interesting. How long has it been?" 5 minutes. Try it and see if it can catch fire." Zhang Xiaobao also said. Then, He turned the glass cup upside down on the porcelain basin and put the burning wooden stick on it. With a boom, a ball of fire appeared 2 inches away from the glass cup. Came and went quickly. Zhang Xiaobao nodded with satisfaction. Wang Wan did the same. She put a burning wooden stick on top of the glass cup. The flame on the wooden stick suddenly became bigger. She threw the wooden stick away. Okay, we can continue to improve in the future. They are not at the same level at all. It's easy to think, but it's not that easy to trick others. It's haunted or even a demon. Do we need to personally participate in the next step? No, Team Zero is enough. It's just that this time we can only deal with one person. It's not enough to deal with all of them. We have to see if the county magistrate of Taihu County is tough. Since the light bulb has been made, let's test it on him first. You should be the best, right? After Zhang Xiaobao saw that the experiment in front of him was a success, he heaved a sigh of relief. It was finally completed. His side might not be of much use, but Wang Wan's side was different. Wang Wan was also very gratified. However, when she heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, she immediately asked, "What do you mean? Am I a bad person like the Brocade Clan guards? Or the East and West guards? I'm not a bad person. I admit. How can bad people be compared to the Special Second Department? Even the worst person in the world is inferior when compared to you," Zhang Xiaobao said as he packed up. Wang Wan did not help this time. She said with dissatisfaction, "Do you think we are the same as those unscrupulous local police? After extorting a confession, they will find all kinds of reasons. I don't know what they are thinking. There are actually people who die while breathing. So worrying. What intelligence? Let's not talk about this anymore. You are the greatest, okay? Send people out now. We can start in a few days. It's very interesting. There must be some twists and turns in it. It's a pity. If they came from the same place as us, they would definitely not use such retarded methods." Zhang Xiaobao poured the water, dragged the porcelain basin and walked back. He handed the wire in his hand to Wang Wan. Wei Wei shook her head, looking very lonely. Wang Wan saw that Zhang Xiaobao had thrown something to her, so she could only accept it. She walked behind Zhang Xiaobao and suddenly said, "Why don't we make it more lively? We can call Grandpa by Grandpa Zhang and Yao Chong. It will be very interesting to have fun together." "I think that's fine. We'll do as you say. Let's tell them in advance so that they can be prepared. Don't be scared when the time comes. Don't tell them. They aren't afraid of being scared. That's more fun." Wang Wan disagreed. Chapter 569. Under the scorching sun, they sweated profusely as they worked with shovels and picks. Shallow water couldn't cool down the heat, but deep wells could cool down easily. Cold melons quenched thirst, and green beans were added to the porridge. Moving mountains and building bridges were hard work, and the roads extended in all directions to build a hometown. Li Sun's road construction project had always been in progress, and he was the one who paid for it. The imperial court would never give him money for his fief. This year, he had not even received the rent he was supposed to receive, but he had already spent 30,000 strings of coins. Looking at the people who didn't slack off when they were working, Li Sun was happy to spend money. He learned from the Zhang family and gave the people who worked on the roads a salary and food. The people weren't slaves. They consumed a lot of energy from their work, so they had to be well nourished. The first meal in the morning was salted beans and sorghum rice. The people usually ate this kind of food as well as highland barley. However, they couldn't eat salted beans, and they didn't dare to eat sorghum rice. That would consume too much food. Li Sun paid for the road construction. As long as they didn't eat exotic delicacies, he didn't care. They could eat. The more they ate, the more energy they had. At noon they changed the dishes. According to nutrition, there was one meat dish and one vegetable dish. The vegetables were all kinds of local vegetables. For meat there were only 3 choices: pork, fish, and chicken. Except for the fish that was caught locally, the pork and chicken were all provided by Sanshui County or Yaozhou. Relying on his fleet, Li Sun did things from the north to the south. Not including the transportation fee, when a pig was sent to Suzhou, it was the price of 2 pigs, ice money. Such wealth made the people feel relieved. Provincial Governor Zhang's family was rich, and the county king was also rich. They didn't have to worry about collecting taxes. Following the care of the Zhang family and the Wang family, besides eating, the rest was green beans and sorghum water. In the beginning, Li Sun forgot about this matter. The people didn't know how they could enjoy such treatment when they were paid to work on the roads. They never thought about it. When they started to work on the roads, the people thought that even if the county king wanted them to work for free, they had to do it. They only hoped that they could do 20 days of work a year. In the end, when they found out that they were getting paid, they felt relieved. When they were given food on the first day, they all felt like they were in a dream. With such benefits, who would dare to think of anything else? When Li Sun had nothing to do, he finally discovered a problem. The weather was hot, and the people brought their own water bags. If the road was built close to the river, it would be convenient. They could drink water directly from the river. For others, this was a very normal thing, but for Li Sun it was not normal. He had already paid for the meal, so why would he care about the money for the mung bean water? From that day onwards, the green bean water with rock sugar was continuously supplied. These days, the watermelons in the sand by the river were harvested. Li Sun began to ask people to throw the watermelons into Jingli town to quench the thirst of the workers. He also gave one to each person to take back home for their family to eat. He asked them to bring back the skin and seeds so that they could make food. In addition to various benefits, Li Sun also asked people to write slogans and shout slogans. This kind of thing did not have a big impact on the knowledgeable people, but it had a different effect on the ordinary people. Even if the people did not know what was written, they were still willing to listen to others say it before they told others. The general meaning was to build their own hometown and make it more beautiful. After Li Sun was done with this matter, he turned around and started to make money. If he did not make money, why would he plant so many watermelons? Because Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had asked the doctors of the medical college to research various uses of watermelons. When they arrived, everyone prepared a variety of watermelons and then mixed them with other medicines and tonics to sell to the rich. The restaurant between the clouds and the water also followed suit and launched a winter melon banquet. They could only make money for 1 year. By the next year, more people would plant watermelons and they would not be valuable anymore. They were easy to plant and could be planted in the sand. Of course, they could not keep it a secret. After all, it was not an industrial thing. Once they made money, they would let the people benefit. Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Li Sun were ready to take advantage of this one, an only opportunity to earn back the money they had invested in the local construction. While Li Sun was busy with the watermelons, Zhang Zhong had already organized the bailiffs in the manor. He also transferred 500 soldiers from the military registrar. Under the cover of the night, they ran all the way to Taihu County. Along with them were Old Man Chong, Old Man Pai, and Old Man Yao. The military registrar also brought along a few related officials. In his hands was a document written by Zhang Zhong regarding the deployment of soldiers to investigate the copper mine. He followed behind the group with a cold smile on his face. Zhang Zhong rode on the horse and told the 3 old men about the situation in Taihu County. The 3 old men also expressed their support. After capturing the people, Old Man Pai and Old Man Yao prepared to write a letter of impeachment. Zhang Zhong also brought along the 3 dogs raised by Wang Wan to help find the people who wanted to escape. Could be said that he was determined. The whole group ran forward as fast as they could. According to the information they received, a group of people came out of Taihu County a few days ago. There were also many carriages. On the carriages were copper ores and marble that were secretly mined from who knows where. They wanted to first reach the Wanshui River, then enter the Yangtze River to transport the goods. Zhang Zhong gave the group the order to stop at the Wanshui River and capture the people. If one of them came, they would be caught red-handed. The group left when the sky had just turned dark. They ran until 5:15 in the morning before they arrived at the location. As expected, when they arrived, they saw people moving things from the dock boats to the shore. Hearing the urging sounds coming from there, they knew that the other party was very anxious. "Sir, what should we do next?" The military registrar came from behind and asked Zhang Zhong. "Capture them. Regardless of whether they are on the boats or on the shore, capture them all." Zhang Zhong said with a sullen face. Sir, what about the charges? The military registrar asked again. Didn't I already write the charges for you? As for whether they are secretly mining copper ores to make weapons or privately minting coins, won't it be clear after you capture them and ask them? Why aren't you moving? When Zhang Zhong saw that the military registrar was not moving, he was slightly dissatisfied. He pointed at the front and said, if you let one of them escape, you can expect to be impeached by me. The military registrar seemed to be frightened. He shouted, guards! The provincial governor has ordered that the people in front are secretly mining copper ores to make coins. Capture them all. If anyone resists, kill them. The 500 soldiers unsheathed their swords and knocked their arrows. They charged forward while yelling. It was quite a scene, but no matter how one looked at it, they lacked a murderous aura. Zhang Zhong shook his head. He did not care about the local soldiers. After all, he was not the one in charge. There was a military registrar here. The military and political affairs were separated. Unlike Lu Zhou, it was more convenient to use him. After a moment of chaos, 2 men ran back to report that everyone had been captured. Before Zhang Zhong could say anything, Old Man Pai and the other 2 men came out of the chariot. Under the protection of the guards, they walked forward to see who was so bold. The military registrar adjusted his armor and said to Zhang Zhong, Lord Zhang, please. Zhang Zhong responded. He dismounted from his horse and strode forward. The military registrar followed behind him. He looked at the sky and then looked in another direction. A smug smile appeared on his face. Old Man Pai and the other 2 men arrived first. With the help of the light from the newly lit torches, they saw the 40 or so people being captured. They snorted coldly. Just as they were about to say something, they suddenly realized that they could not interfere in this matter. They had to wait for Zhang Zhong to arrive first. Zhang Zhong was not in a hurry. He walked over slowly and glanced at the people being captured. He asked, do you know why you're being captured? My lord, we don't know. You can't capture people for no reason. My lord, you have to investigate thoroughly. One of the people being captured struggled forward, but he was held down tightly by the people being captured. He opened his mouth to complain. The military registrar took a few steps forward and said loudly, how dare you quibble? The provincial governor is here. He said that you secretly mined the copper mine. Fortunately, the provincial governor is smart and knows what you did in advance. If you don't confess quickly, you won't have to suffer. After the military registrar shouted at this person, he turned to Zhang Zhong and said, my lord, it seems that they won't tell if they don't suffer a little. How about? No, they will tell when the time comes. Tie them up and take them back. Zhang Zhong refused the military registrar's suggestion and ordered. That person struggled even harder. He shouted as he struggled, my lord, I'm innocent. We didn't mine the copper mine. We just chopped wood and wanted to transport it back to make charcoal. My lord, I'm innocent. He's quibbling again. Take him away. This time it was Zhang Zhong who spoke. He turned around and prepared to go back. The military registrar stepped forward and blocked Zhang Zhong. He said, my lord, it's late at night. I will listen to you. Why don't you take a look at the ship and the goods that haven't been loaded? Otherwise, if you catch the wrong person, it will be difficult for me. Please make the decision. The military registrar said that he wanted Zhang Zhong to think about it, but he didn't give Zhang Zhong a chance to speak. As soon as the military registrar finished speaking, he immediately ordered, come, take down the things on the ship. Bring the things that haven't been loaded on the ship here. The provincial governor will make the decision. All the soldiers answered in unison. Some rushed to the ship to take the things, and some unloaded the goods from the carts on the shore. The rest of the people were waiting here. The sound coming from the other side made them feel that something was wrong. Old Man Pai looked at Old Man Yao in confusion and said, it does sound like wood. Did Zhang Zhong come to the wrong place? Did he catch the wrong person? It's over. If he didn't transfer the soldiers, it would be fine. At most, he would release the people. Now that the soldiers have been transferred, there is no one to catch. If the copper mine and the marble can't be found, then we will have to help from behind. We just arrived and encountered this. Well, we can't just stand by and watch. Didn't they say that there are two masters in the Zhang family? How could he have made such a mistake when he had thought of every conceivable possibility? Could it be that Zhang Zhong didn't listen to the masters and did something in private? Old Man Yao understood Old Man Pai's meaning. Even if Zhang Zhong made a mistake, he had to protect him. In fact, he knew that even if someone really reported this to the imperial court, nothing would happen to Zhang Zhong. However, the prestige that he had accumulated would be greatly reduced. At this time, the soldiers who were sent out to check reported to the military registrar, "My lord, there is no marble or copper mine. It's all wood. Please make the decision." "Oh, is it true? That's not right. The provincial governor asked me to send the soldiers because the evidence is conclusive. The provincial governor wouldn't treat such a big matter as child's play, right? Check again and watch carefully." Chapter 570. As the wood was piled up, the sky gradually brightened. Zhang Zhong was still standing there, looking at the ship and the wood. After a gust of wind and water, he shivered and finally set his eyes on the registrar. He said, "Registrar Feng, you look good. What's the good news?" "It's dawn and the darkness is leaving. Registrar Feng, there are usually 2,200 soldiers in our province. I asked you to bring all of them out. Why are there only 500? Where are the other 1,700 soldiers?" The registrar thought that Zhang Zhong would discuss with him how to make up for this mistake. He didn't expect that Zhang Zhong would ask about the soldiers. His heart skipped a beat. Just as he was about to speak, the people who were being held shouted, "We're innocent! We're innocent! Where is the copper ore that you mentioned? Lord Zhang, I heard the people say that you are a good official. You have to see clearly. Now we're finished. We can't catch up with that kiln. Lord, aren't you a good official? Why do you treat the people like this? Lord Zhang, do you think it's time to let them go?" The registrar immediately used the words of the other party to discuss with Zhang Zhong. Old Man Bai and the other two walked over as well. They suddenly realized that something was amiss. The person who had been captured was not afraid at all. No matter how they looked at it, the military secretary looked happy. The three old men looked at each other. No one said anything, but they all knew what was going on. Zhang Zhong was set up. The other party deliberately exposed a flaw to Zhang Zhong, so that Zhang Zhong could borrow the soldiers to arrest them. Of course, they would arrest the wrong person. The people who were caught should also be involved in this matter. But what could they do? There was no evidence. It was troublesome. Zhang Zhong's reputation would plummet because of this. After the myth was broken, it was no longer a myth. In the future, more people would dare to attack the Zhang family and the Wang family. "Yongqing, what's done is done. Just let it go. We'll think of something when we get back." When Old Man Pai saw that Zhang Zhong still did not have any expression of joy or anger, he thought that Zhang Zhong was scared silly. He could understand. If it were anyone else who encountered such a situation, they would have lost their composure. Fortunately, Zhang Zhong did not directly faint. Young people's bodies were really good. Old Man Yao also advised from the side, "Yongqing, go back and offer up another prescription. It's best if it's more useful and beneficial to the country and the people. Just treat it as if this matter never happened. Kid, don't be afraid. Didn't we just catch the wrong person? Think carefully before making a move next time. Who doesn't make mistakes in their life? Go back and have a good meal, then sleep. You'll be fine when you wake up." Old Man Chong came over and patted Zhang Zhong's shoulder encouragingly. Zhang Zhong looked at the three old men and nodded emotionally. He said, "Yongqing thanks the three of you for taking care of me. When we go back, I'll ask Xiaobao and Cuckoo to cook a delicious meal with cold melon. It'll be more delicious to eat dumplings with 3 delicacies stuffed with cold melon." Okay, then let's go back and eat." Old Man Pai quickly followed up. He wanted to persuade Zhang Zhong to go back. When they went back, there would be a team of the best doctors in the Tang Empire. He was not afraid that Zhang Zhong would suddenly collapse. He wanted to take a good look at Zhang Zhong so that he would not fall ill. Zhang Zhong nodded and then shook his head. He said, "There's no hurry. Military attaché Feng, I just asked you where the rest of the soldiers in the prefecture are. You have to tell me, right?" Seeing that Zhang Zhong was still staring at this matter, The military attaché began to think in his mind. Did Zhang Zhong know something? It should not be. After Zhang Zhong found out that he had done something wrong, he wanted to use this to threaten the military attaché to keep it a secret. That's right, the 2,200 soldiers actually ate 1,000 in empty pay, but so what? It was impossible to fight in Shuzhou. Who could fight here? Even if someone investigated, there was nothing to be afraid of. He could just recruit 1,000 people temporarily. Thinking of this, the military attaché was not worried anymore. He said to Zhang Zhong, "Your Excellency, leave the military affairs to me. Your Excellency, you don't have to worry. 500 soldiers are enough to catch an ordinary person transporting wood. I have my own arrangements for the rest of the soldiers. Your Excellency, is it time to release them?" "There's no hurry. Military attaché Fang, I still want to ask, how are the remaining soldiers compared to the 500 in front of us? Was it a mess when you were charging? Was it because of the rusty saber and the loose bowstring?" Zhang Zhong asked with a smile. "Your Excellency, what do you mean?" The military attaché could not understand what Zhang Zhong was trying to do. Was he going to make a fuss about the military equipment again? His face immediately became gloomy. He did not answer but instead asked a question. Zhang Zhong waved his hand. "It's nothing, I'm just asking. If that's the case, then the other 700 soldiers sent by military advisor Fang will be easy to deal with. With Royal Prince Tang, Anne's guards and this official's guards, it shouldn't be a problem to deal with 700 soldiers. Yes, that's it. There will be marble and copper ores. Even if the Taihu County magistrate personally escorted them and had 700 prefecture soldiers to protect them, they will not be able to escape. I am truly impressed. Each and every one of them is smart. Unfortunately, they use their brains in the wrong place." "Your Excellency, what do you mean?" The military attaché's voice was not soft when he said this, but everyone could hear that his voice was trembling. This meant that he was guilty. Old Man Pai and the other two people's eyes lit up. They asked Yongcheng what happened. "Guards, keep an eye on the surrounding people. If anyone dares to move, kill them all for this old man." Noticing the change in the situation, the old man asked Zhang Zhong and immediately gave orders to the guards he brought. Old Yao did the same. Both of them brought 100 family guards. Although there were only 200 of them, it was not a problem for them to deal with 500 prefectural soldiers of Shuzhou. Seeing that the two old men had made arrangements, Zhang Zhong was even less worried. This was also the reason why he brought the 3 old men here. Although Old Man Chong did not have any family guards, his skills were there for all to see. Moreover, he was so close to military attaché Fang so he could subdue him easily. Nothing big happened. Let's wait. There will probably be news in less than 2 hours. Military attaché Fang, do you have anything to say? Or do you hope that your 700 soldiers can defeat the Tang and Royal Prince and my guards? Zhang Zhong said to the 3 old men, then looked at the military attaché Fang. In an instant, the military attaché Fang's back was drenched in sweat. His expression changed again and again, and his lips trembled. He kept swallowing his saliva, but he could not say a single word. The prefecture soldiers realized that the situation was not right. They wanted to do something, but when they saw the other 200 people glaring at them, they were so scared that they did not dare to move. They knew very well how capable they were. They could not even train twice a year, so how could they hope to defeat these 200 people? Moreover, they were the family guards of 2 important people that they could not afford to offend. They had to think about the consequences. The military attaché Fang was already confused. His eyes were filled with stars. He forced himself to stand there, unable to say anything. Zhang Zhong just smiled and did not speak. The 3 old men had questions in their hearts, but Zhang Zhong had a mysterious look on his face, so they could not ask. They also waited. Less than an hour later, 3 horses galloped over from the direction the registrar had glanced at. When the horses approached, the person riding on them jumped down and reported to Zhang Zhong. "Zhang Zhong, you're in the middle of the night. Master, the 700 prefecture soldiers have surrendered. The county magistrate of Taihu County has also been tied up and is being escorted here. The marble and copper ores have all been confiscated. How are the casualties? Zhang Zhong asked with a nod of his head in Weiwei. In reply to Master, there were no casualties. When they were surrounded, they very obediently threw away their weapons. The person replied, "That's good. Go and rest." Zhang Zhong regained his indifferent appearance. After the person went to rest, he said to the military attaché Fang, "Military attaché Fang, what else do you have to say? If it was not this official, anyone else would have been fooled by you. It was just a diversion. Not a bad idea. Why did you use your cleverness in a good place? This official is very disappointed. This batch of wood is also good. It can be used to build the bridge in Shuzhou." "No, that's impossible. You can't possibly know. The marble and copper ores are. They were transported separately and gathered together after being transported to another place. Outsiders would not be able to detect them at all. Furthermore, they were mixed in under the pretext of transporting other things, right? But so what? If you don't want others to know, don't do it in the first place. This official wants to build a good living environment for the people. I really don't want to play this kind of childish game with you. But you don't want to give yourselves any face. You always have a fluke mentality. Why don't you think about what this official does? Forget it. There won't be any more trouble in the future." Before the military attaché Fang could finish speaking in a hoarse voice, Zhang Zhong helped him to finish. At the same time, he thought of his son. When Lake Tai was haunted, he asked his son about it. His son said it was not interesting. He thought that the opponent would be stronger, but the result was too disappointing. Only then did he arrange for people to keep an eye on it. With the help of the clairvoyance, they could see the opponent, but the opponent could not detect them. Their random actions led to the current situation. It was indeed not fun. After Zhang Zhong finished speaking to the military attaché Fang, he did not pay any more attention to him. He roughly told the three old men what had happened. He did not mention the people in his family, and only told them how it was arranged. However, the three old men understood that this was definitely another trick of the Zhang family. It was indeed powerful. The opponent made a diversion and they beat them at their own game. They were worried for nothing just now and even comforted others. Now they needed to be comforted. Yongqing later on, don't forget to let Xiao Bao and Cuckoo make dumplings with cold melon. This old man's heart is hurt. I need a lot of nourishment. Old Man Pai glared at Zhang Zhong and said. Old Man Yao was also angry in his heart. This was too unreasonable. Zhang Zhong actually hid it from him. He was worried about him just now. What was this called? Yongqing, your family has many good recipes. Shouldn't you take one out? This was compensation. Old Man Chong was the most honest. He stretched out his hand and patted Zhang Zhong's shoulder again, causing Zhang Zhong to stagger. This body is not good. You should practice more. The next time you lie, this old man might not be around anymore. Chapter 571. Mountains and rivers roar. Tens of thousands of people worry, especially like the earth cracking in waves, shocking the sky and waterlogging. Flee with the family, push the family away, push the family away. The wind blows, the clouds roll, the heart is lonely. People gradually fade away. When the 700 government soldiers and the Taihu County magistrate were escorted over, the military registrar was also tied up. The 500 government soldiers surrounding him did not dare to move. The matter had escalated, and they did not want to continue to get involved. When the gods fought, the mortals just had to watch the show obediently. The military registrar's eyes were dull. He did not even care about the Taihu County magistrate who was locked in the same temporary prison van and cried out. When the team started to rush back, the jolting of the carriage made the military registrar's eyes clear up. His body swayed with the movement of the carriage. Occasionally, he would look forward and look at Zhang Zhong, as if hoping that Zhang Zhong would look back, but also as if he was afraid that Zhang Zhong would look back. It was very contradictory. Zhang Zhong did not pay attention to the military registrar at all. If it was someone else, they would have laughed at him, but Zhang Zhong did not have this kind of hobby. Moreover, he was not the one who came up with the idea. When his son was talking about the plan, he did not have the mood to show off after winning. The three old men squeezed into the same carriage again and swayed back and forth with the team. The curtain of the carriage was lifted, and they could clearly see the situation outside. Old Man Pai swayed and finally realized that something was wrong. This was not his carriage, nor was it Old Man Chang's carriage. It was Yao Chang's carriage. Old Man Pai squinted his eyes and habitually reached out to open the drawer of the carriage to get an iced drink. When his hand reached out, it was empty. He then reacted and suggested, "Why don't we go to my carriage? This carriage is too suffocating." "Exactly, the carriage is small and has nothing. Why don't we change and go to my carriage?" Old Man Chang also said. Old Man Yao had not experienced other people's carriages until now, so he felt that his carriage was not bad. Listening to the two of them, could it be that his carriage was really bad? Old Man Pai pointed to the carriage. "No fan." He pointed to the seat. "No shock absorber." He pointed at the space in the carriage. "This place is too small." He pointed at the space between the three of them and said, "It's missing the stove and other drawers that can be used at any time." He knocked on the board of the carriage. "It's just one layer. If someone outside uses a crossbow to shoot at it, it'll be able to penetrate it in an instant." "Stop, from what you're saying you have everything in your car." When Old Man Yao heard Old Man Pai belittling his car, his eyebrows furrowed tighter and tighter. Seeing that Old Man Pai still wanted to continue, he quickly interrupted him and asked in dissatisfaction. Old Man Pai smiled with relief and said, "Of course. Look at who made the car I'm waiting for. The best thing from the Zhang family and the Wang family is the house that can be put on wheels and then go. The next best thing is a few specially made cars. Unfortunately, those wheels are not easy to make, so they can only be made for the children. I still have to wait for my car." Old Man Chang seemed to have thought of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. It was the two of them who asked someone to make the car for them. Not to mention the enjoyment, just the thought alone made him happy. He also smiled and shouted to the driver, "Stop the car." As soon as the car stopped, the three old men got off and directly entered Old Man Pai's car. Old Man Yao couldn't wait to sit down first. Only then did he realize that it was indeed different. With one sitting and one leaning, his whole body could be attached to the place where he sat. His whole body immediately felt different and comfortable. From the outside, this carriage looked like it was 1 foot taller, 1 foot wider, and 2 feet longer than his own carriage. Why did it become so much bigger after entering? As the carriage moved, he could feel the wind blowing from several places. Looking carefully, there were countless small holes where the wind was coming from. There are fans in these places. The other end is connected to the axle. When the wheels turn, the fans will turn. If you want to stop them from turning, there is a switch here that can be adjusted at any time. You stayed up late and didn't eat anything in the morning. Why don't you eat something hot? Since Old Man Bai had the opportunity to show off, he would not let it go. He extended his hand to the side of the carriage and with a paw sound, he pulled open a small opening. Inside was a handle. With a light shake, a cover descended from the roof of the carriage. Old Man Chang also broke the table in the middle of the three people, revealing a round hole in the middle. He stuck it at the side and a hot pot rose from the hole. Smokeless charcoal was put in and the fire was lit. Old Man Pai took out a thermos and poured soup into the hot pot. Looking at the color of the soup, it seemed to have been cooked long ago. Old Man Yao felt for a moment and found that the soup was still warm. He asked doubtfully, "It's a thermos. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo gave it to me the day before yesterday. Put some hot water in and it won't be cold even if you let it sit for 24 hours. There is a slot under where you are sitting. Pull it up and take out the things inside. It will be delicious later." Old Man Bai shook the thermos flask in his hand and said with a smile. Old Man Yao followed Old Man Bai's instructions and found a card slot. He extended his hand and pulled, and a board was flipped over. Cold air immediately came out of it. Upon closer inspection, it was actually ice. He took out one by one. There were vegetables, meat, shrimp, a few powdered seasonings, and 4 kinds of sauces. Old Man Chang also took out a bottle of wine and a few wet wipes from his side. Old Man Pai took out chopsticks and a plate. Old Man Yao wasn't stupid. He knew what they were for, but he never thought that there would be such a space in the car. If these things were placed outside, such as between the clouds and the water, or in restaurants, it wouldn't be strange at all. But in the car it was a different story. They knew how to enjoy themselves, right? Compared to other rich people who showed off outside the car and asked people to cook and show off, this was the real show of extravagance and restraint. Old Man Bai picked up a frozen prawn with his chopsticks and dipped it into the hot pot. As he dipped it, he said, "This is the Mandarin duck hot pot." Over the past few years, the Zhang and Wang families have been cultivating the mountain spicy chili peppers, which are getting spicier. However, the quantity is too small. I heard from Xiao Bao and Cuckoo that there are spicier things called chili peppers. Unfortunately, they can't find them now. They need to go overseas to find them. You can eat whatever you want. Even if you don't want to eat vegetables, you can still eat some. This is called a nutritious combination. This is dry tofu and this is tofu skin. Remember to eat them too. Don't say too much. I've eaten at Savant's restaurant. What sauce is this? I've never seen it before. Old Man Yao replied and opened a small jar of sauce. Crab sauce. They don't plan to sell it yet. They only sell shrimp sauce. The price is high and ordinary people can't afford it. A small jar of good shrimp sauce costs 5 strings of money to ship to Beijing. This crab sauce is even more expensive. They can only sell crab sauce when others have a way to ship large amounts of shrimp sauce to Beijing. Old Man Chong explained. Old Man Yao was already indifferent to many things, but today he couldn't help but feel jealous. He felt that it was unfair in his heart. Why did they hide all the good things for themselves? If they didn't go to Suzhou, they might not be able to eat many things in this life. Thinking of this, he suddenly saw the thermos on the side and said, "This thermos is good stuff. It doesn't need to be kept for 24 hours. Even if it's only for 8 hours, it can save people a lot of trouble. Especially for rich people. The maids and servants don't have to look after the stove at night. Whether they sell it or not, I'll buy a few to use at home. As long as it's not too expensive, I can still afford it. It's not bad to buy a few for my friends." When he said that, Old Man Yao's tone was sour. Old Man Pai heard and laughed. "Yuanji, you don't have to be like this. When we go back, I'll find Xiao Bao and Cuckoo and ask them to give you what you deserve. If you want to buy it, you really can't afford it. There are 2 layers of glass inside. And it's coated with mercury. There's actually nothing in the middle, just like the light bulb. Eat the food and wine, try it." Old Man Chong had already poured the wine soaked with medicinal herbs. Each person had a cup. Old Man Yao smelled the smell. "Is this the liquor sold by Zhang family and Wang family?" "No, that kind of liquor is actually very strong and doesn't taste good. This is liquor that has been in the cellar for about 4 years. It's been in the cellar ever since it came out. The earliest batch was soaked with medicinal herbs, so you can only drink 1 cup. If you want to drink more, you can only drink wine." Old Man Pai picked up the wine cup and took a sip. He took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. He enjoyed it very much. The 3 old men were enjoying the hot pot in the carriage. The hot air that rose up was carried out by the chimney that was connected to the cover. Everyone outside could smell it. None of them had eaten. After a night of torment, their expressions changed when they smelled such a fragrant smell. The prefectural soldiers who were locked up felt that they had no strength left in their bodies. They wanted to find a place to rest and eat the food in the carriage. Old Man Bai and Old Man Yao's house guards were secretly swallowing their saliva and glancing at the carriage from time to time. Li Sun's guards, on the other hand, maintained their neat formation without the slightest bit of disorder. They did not look around blindly either. The Zhang and Wang family's guards only needed to sniff their noses to know what was going on. Just like Li Sun's guards, they remained unmoved. The remaining 30 members of the Miao protection team took out things from their pockets. Some took out jerky, some took out fried noodles. They opened water bags and ate with water. As they ate, they talked about the taste of the food in their mouths. They meant that they ate with the taste of the food in their mouths. Occasionally, they would take a sip of wine. It was a mess. They were scattered, so they talked very loudly with each other. Old Man Pai's guards did not say anything. They knew the capabilities of the Miao protection team. They were not considered a regular army, but a special force. It did not matter how chaotic it was. Old Man Yao's guards did not know. They glanced over from time to time and showed a look of disdain. Old Man Yao heard the commotion outside and looked out of the car window. When he saw that it was the Zhang family's Miao protection team, he frowned and said, "The Miao protection team? Can they really watch the fields?" Haha, Yuanji is wrong to think that way. Those 30 people are the most elite of the Zhang family. Their training methods are different. They need to be relaxed at all times and ready to fight at all times. If they are like other people, they will tire themselves out. I don't know about your generals, but if my generals were to fight with 100 of them on flat ground against 30 of them, it would be a Pyrrhic victory if they won in the end. After killing them all, there wouldn't be many of my generals left. If it were to be on the mountain or in the water, my 100 generals would be completely defeated. If one of them could run out to report, I would be satisfied. Old Man Pai saw that Old Man Yao was belittling the members of the Zhuang protection team, so he smiled and explained the situation to him. Are they really that powerful? Old Man Yao knew what Old Man Bai meant when he said that they were his family's generals. Seeing the two old men nodding their heads, he nodded his head and said, "No wonder when Zhang Zhong went out, they were standing guard at the closest and furthest place. It turns out that they were in charge of protecting and scouting." Yes, if they were not afraid of being criticized for training too many people, the Zhang family could train more. Now there are only 56 people. Old Man Chong knew that the Zhang family did not have it easy. They could obviously have more experts, but they had to control them. Otherwise, with their financial resources, they could recruit 2,000 people and train them. Then, the imperial court would have to take care of them. Old Man Yao also understood this. But what if there is a more dangerous situation? For example, people like the two of us are sent to 200 guards. What should we do? He was now worried about Zhang Zhong. 56 people were really too few, especially when the Zheng and Wang families needed to protect so many people. There were a bunch of children, and they could not be divided. You don't have to worry about that. The Zhang and Wang clans still have their usual guards, and they're fully equipped. If we really start fighting, half of our 200 guards will be wiped out in one move. They're normally equipped with crossbows and sleeve arrows, and they haven't even mounted their horses yet. They can carry even more things on them. Old Man Chong was very concerned about this kind of thing. When he tested Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, he found that the two children had a lot of small items. A good sleeve arrow was 200 to 300 strings. The guards of the Zhang family and Wang family were equipped with them. He even suspected that the maids who usually served them also carried sleeve arrows. Rich people are really different. Where did they find people to make so many things for them? Oh right, they don't need to look outside. Their own skills are enough. Old Man Yao sighed. It was good to be rich. If you wanted to equip yourself with good weapons, you could equip yourself with them. Old Man Bai shook his head and said, "It turns out that the Zhang and Wang families weren't that capable. Later on, when you were dealing with the locust plague, their families had just gotten a little better. They immediately took out money to find craftsmen and began to train them. Before we came here, someone had already gone to the capital to participate in the craftsman competition. This is all thanks to the Zhang family." Yes, it is wrong to focus on agriculture and not on industry and commerce. Every aspect is useful. A good craftsman is not worse than a jinshi. A jinshi can rule a country, and the craftsman's research can strengthen a country. It is the same for medicine. Even the Imperial Academy of Medicine is not good. Isn't it because the officials look down on them? The reason why the Zhang family and Wang family are so powerful is that they include scholars, agriculture, industry, commerce, and medicine. No matter which aspect needs people, they can provide them immediately. I guess the best talents in the Tang Empire are in their family. Old Man Chong did not have a high status in the past, so he paid special attention to the people's livelihood. At first he was a little confused, but now he finally understood why the Zhang family and Wang family were different from others. According to Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, this was called complementing each other. Just like that, the three old men ate and chatted as they followed the procession back. The people outside slandered and gossiped about what they wanted. Zhang Zhong did not enter his carriage. He rode on the horse and thought. The people were dealt with, but he still had to think of a way to deal with the people behind them. It seemed that he needed Li Sun to make a move. Otherwise, he would have to take out more prescriptions to exchange with the imperial court. It was very interesting. In the past, he had never thought that he could make such an exchange. Before he took the imperial examination, he thought that he would be upright and outspoken when he became an official. Now that he was an official, he knew that it was impossible. Even if he was thinking for the people, he would still be restricted. If it were not for his son and daughter-in-law who kept making good things to exchange with the imperial court and other people, it would be a dream for him to sit in his current position, let alone have someone to take care of the trouble he caused. Sigh. This road is not easy to walk, but since I am here I have to continue. Fortunately, I have a divine son and daughter-in-law. Who else has such a divine son and daughter-in-law? In the eyes of these two kids, small schemes are simply child's play. After pondering for a while, Zhang Zhong muttered to himself. His mood finally improved. Since things couldn't go smoothly, then he might as well ride the wind and break the waves. At home, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan began to teach their younger siblings how to read. They had to write big words and then make the paper into a kite. They had to write on the big kite. It was impossible to let their younger siblings and the two foreign sisters learn how to read. Everyone wanted to play. If they could play, how could they sit still and learn how to read? Flying a kite was different. They had to make the kite into various shapes and then find a time when there was wind to release it into the sky. The 6 children saw the words in the sky. The maidservant kept reading the words, and the children unconsciously memorized them when they were curious. In the future, even if there were no kites, the children would know how to pronounce the words when they wrote them out. Under such circumstances, if they were 2 years older, they would be compared with other children of similar age. They would find that they had learned more than other children and would be praised more. In order to maintain this advantage and continue to be praised, they would take the initiative to learn. Many adults did not understand that when children learned well, especially in exams, not only would they not praise them, but they would also pour cold water on them, telling them not to be proud and that there were better people. In fact, it was not wrong to do this, but they must know how to adjust and not always pour cold water on them. If they were 10th in an exam, don't tell them that there were 9 people ahead of them. Instead, tell them that there were people behind them who were not convinced and would chase after them. This way, the children would feel that they were the leader and would work harder to increase the distance behind them. When the distance was widened, they would change from 10th to 9th or 8th. The method that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were using now was an incentive policy. When the 6 little guys played the game, they also introduced such a mechanism. If they couldn't compare with others, then they would compare with themselves. 5 big kites were released. Some of the 6 children stretched out their small hands and pointed, while others looked at the kites with wide eyes. No one knew what they were thinking. This method was indeed useful. In just a quarter of an hour, the 6 little fellows had already memorized the 5 words. Just as the maidservant was about to change the kite, she was stopped by Zhang Xiaobao. It was enough to memorize 5 words today. Before the 6 little fellows needed to go to bed, this half an hour was to consolidate their knowledge. The mother kite was flying in the sky, and the child kites were hanging on the line below and rising together. When they hit the top, they folded their wings and slid down along the line. One kite after another, the children would release a kite once for each word they said. When the 6 children were tired of playing and were carried to sleep, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan looked at each other and smiled. Let's make the bicycle for them. Now it's more advanced than when we were at that time. Let them play more often. It's best to be able to control the direction by themselves. Zhang Xiaobao sat under the shade of the tree again, picked up a book to read, and played with his younger brothers and sisters for a while. For him and Wang Wan, this was a very happy thing. The happiness of childhood did not belong to them. Without them, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family would not have the background of an aristocratic family at all. They were forcibly promoted to the position of an aristocratic family. To be precise, they were on the verge of being an aristocratic family. It was not stable yet, so they had to continue to work hard. Wang Wan did not take a book, but took some food. Sitting next to Zhang Xiaobao, she ate 2 mouthfuls of shaved ice and said, "What do you think of the news that was sent yesterday?" "Oh, are you talking about the 4 people who were newly admitted to the imperial examinations in the past few years? They were actually assigned to be officials in Jiannan province, and they were in 2 neighboring counties. They were assigned to be the registrar and the county magistrate. The arranged positions were really good. They were arranged to be in Idyll. It's not easy to develop. What do they have there? There are a lot of good things there, such as fruits, silkworms, and tea leaves. The tea leaves and silkworms are already famous, especially the Sichuan brocade. The fruits are good, but they can't be transported out. The climate there seems to be good for raising pigs, but now the grain yield is low. If they only rely on pigweed to feed them, how long will it take to raise them before they can be killed? Zhang Xiaobao's eyes were on the book, but he did not read a word. There he was analyzing what should be done to improve the living standards of the people in the vicinity of Chengdu, Sichuan. 4 students of the academy had been admitted this year and were assigned to that area. At first they wanted to rely on their own abilities to develop, but they found that it was difficult to progress there. So they sent one of the 4 pigeons back to the academy to send the news back. As for the news from the academy, there was no pigeons to send back. The news was directly sent to the academy. They asked for help from the academy. The academy did not know what to do, so they had to send the news here. As a result, it was sent to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. There had been a lot of talents in the academy in recent years. Some were jinsher and some were in other fields. Usually, when they had difficulties, they would ask the academy for help. The academy could basically solve it. There was strength in numbers. There were also some people in the capital who were sponsored by the Zhang family restaurant who became officials one after another. However, none of them were like the 4 of them running to Jiannan Road all of a sudden. The road was extremely difficult to walk on, and the situation was extremely complicated. The people of the academy could not think of a solution, so they could only ask the dean for help. However, the dean did not do anything, and the troublesome ones were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Xiaobao, will bamboo work? There are a lot of bamboo in Chengdu, and we need to open 2 restaurants. Not to make money but to send people there in the future. We need to have a place to eat and live. Wang Wan reminded him. Okay, bamboo will work. Aren't the 2 counties next to each other? Then let them build a paper mill together and ship it here. We need to use paper anyway. Think about it, what other specialties are there? There are medicinal herbs, right? These can be sent to Huaiyuan County Hospital to be sold. What else? Zhang Xiaobao frowned and thought that he could not help. These people would be useful in the future. There is also raw lacquer, which is a very good thing, but not many people buy it. It is not very useful. Wang Wan reminded him. Zhang Xiaobao was happy. Yes, there is also raw lacquer. Who said that it is not useful? It is a good thing. We can use it for ships and wires. Let the 2 counties plant a lot of raw lacquer trees. If there are not enough of them now, we can buy them from other places and sell them for money. There are also ginkgo trees, which are also medicinal herbs. Don't worry about the tea leaves and Sichuan brocade. Let's make these first. There are a lot of fruits there, so we can use the fruits to make wine. The leftover wine will be fed to the pigs. We don't need to eat grain. Then it's settled. I will arrange it. Wang Wan thought it was a good idea. Whether it could be done or not depended on the strength of the 4 people. This kind of thing could be done if one wanted to. She had already thought about it. As long as the wine was brewed, they would transport it here and sell it. The money from the sale would be exchanged for grain and transported back. They did not expect to make much money in the middle. As long as it was enough to buy grain and transport, they could transport it directly to the place by water. With a good ship, they were not afraid of being damaged in dangerous places. Even if the current was strong, they could rely on the ship to stop in the middle of the river. If there was really a more dangerous place, then they would send a few people from the seedling protection team to blow it up with explosives. After Wang Wan finished writing the letter and sent it out, the 6 little guys also woke up and ran to Zhang Xiaobao to play with their brother. After playing with them for a while and coaxing them to be led to the servant girl, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan finally had time to continue reading. Now the 2 of them were reading a book written by a famous official according to other notes. As for the rest of the books that should be read, the 2 of them relied on their young age and good memory to learn most of them. In addition, they had the comprehension ability of an adult. Other than revising and reading books that were not related to the imperial examination, there was nothing else to read. When the 2 of them were reading, someone came back to report that the matter with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had been solved. The people were also caught, so the two of them did not need to worry. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were not worried at all. After reading for a while, they planned to continue to be light bulbs. The time to burn wine was too short. They had to continue to think of ways to make it into a commodity to sell. Zhang Zhong also brought the people back in the afternoon. There was no place to lock up all 1,200 prefectural soldiers, but if they were not locked up, he was afraid that something would happen. In the end, he had no choice but to leave a portion of Li Sun's men behind, and let all 1,200 of them go to an empty space. The first 700 people who were caught were tied together with ropes. The other 500 people were much more lenient. Zhang Zhong was not in a hurry to interrogate the people he caught. He only sent a memorial to wait for the imperial court to make a decision. When the time came, he did not even have to interrogate them. He could just directly detain them to the capital. The capital could decide how they wanted to interrogate them. Li Sun also wrote a letter. Now that the place was set, he had to occupy the two mines, especially the marble mine. That was discussed with Zhang Xiaobao. It was for his own use. He also had to dig the copper mine. Now, he had to send people to guard it to prevent others from stealing it. When Old Man Yao came back, before Old Man Pai could ask for a car from the Zhang family, the Zhang family personally sent the car over and said that it had just been made. This made Old Man Yao happy. He smelled the paint on the outside of the car. It was indeed just made. The smell of wood inside had not dissipated yet. Just as Zhang Zhong was waiting for news from the imperial court, something finally happened in Suzhou. When Zhang Zhong returned, 4 out of the 6 judges were detained. The other 2 were nowhere to be found. After Zhang Zhong returned to his residence for 5 days, someone quickly came to report that the Yangtze River in Wangjiang County had burst open. The flood had already washed many places, and the water was still flowing out. The people in Wangjiang County could not stop it at all. No one knew how many people had died, how many houses had been destroyed, and how the dam had burst open. When Zhang Zhong heard this, he was stunned. It had not rained these few days, so it was impossible for there to be a flood. Even if there was a flood, someone should have reported the rise of the water level first. Why did it burst open all of a sudden? Putting aside the other things in his hands, Zhang Zhong went directly to the courtyard where his son and daughter-in-law were. When he saw the two of them, he said, "Xiaobao, the Yangtze River in Wangjiang County has burst open. We just received news." "Ah, burst open? That's not right. Didn't we arrange for people to go there to take a look? It can't be broken, especially when it hasn't rained yet. How could it be broken?" "Father, go and interrogate the county magistrate of Taihu County, that military attaché Fang, and the other 4 people we caught. They must know." When Zhang Xiaobao heard this, his heart immediately tensed up. There was a map at Wangjiang County, and it happened to be a place with a bend. If that place really burst open, then all the water would burst out. It was impossible to continue walking along the original line. Back then, they did not interrogate people to leave a chance for the people behind them. They should be people from the imperial clan. If they really found out anything, then it would be difficult to handle. As long as they occupied the mine and straightened out the officials in the state, it would be fine. Whether or not they killed people had nothing to do with the Zhang family. Now it seemed that they had no choice but to ask. That place suddenly burst open. Who would believe it if they told others? Unexpectedly, before the county magistrate of Taihu County said anything, the military attaché Fang had already said it. He said that the method was given by the higher-ups, which was to dig up the river bank. As long as the water was flushed, Zhang Zhong would not have the leisure to care about anything else. Presumably, the 2 men who had escaped had arranged this matter. 5 days was not the right time for a fast horse to finish digging and then a fast horse to report back to them. This time even Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were dumbfounded. They never thought that someone would dare to do this. How was this a political struggle? This was clearly a murderer, a blatant murderer. How could such a person exist? Was he not afraid that Li Longji would also kill people? This time, even if it was a prince, Li Longji would not let them go, let alone the younger generation of the imperial clan. His entire family would be killed. Madman, this kind of person was a madman. Zhang Xiaobao immediately became listless. He had asked the military attaché Feng in detail, and the military attaché Feng had told him everything except for digging up the river. It seemed that the two people had escaped, and it was too late to stop them. The river here was too long, and it was impossible to send that many people to guard it. Moreover, they were all riding fast horses. As long as they were late for 2 to 4 hours, they would not have to think about anything. Building a riverbank might take a long time, but destroying a riverbank was too easy. Even if we cut them into pieces, we will not be able to vent our anger. We have already lost, so how can we still cause trouble? If all the officials are like this, then at that time we can forget about keeping all the river dikes. We can blow them up with explosives, but those officials thought of running out and committing suicide, but they didn't mention using explosives to blow up the river dikes. Wang Wan's eyes were red. She could not understand how officials could do such a thing. How did those two people climb to their current positions? It was obvious that Wangjiang County was crippled. Who knew how many people had died? Zhang Xiaobao did not say anything. He closed his eyes and thought about things. At this time there was no point in complaining. Even if he immediately found those two people and the people who worked for them and killed them, it was useless. He had to think of a way to reduce the losses as much as possible. After half an hour, Zhang Xiaobao opened his eyes and began to call for people to give orders. He had to save people first. Perhaps many people had already died, but there were still people hiding in high places or trees. He also had to think of a way to block the gap. He first got people to go over and see how big the gap was. It was probably not small. When he destroyed it, he only needed to dig a little, and the river water would gradually fill the gap. Fuck, how do I block it? This was the second time Zhang Xiaobao cursed. At this moment Wang Wan took the map over. The two of them looked at the map together, hoping to find a solution. For example, if there was a big mountain beside them, they could dig stones and cut trees from the mountain, as well as how the terrain there was and where to send people over. Zhang Zhong was also anxious, but he could not think of a solution. This matter was already beyond his ability. Digging a breach in the river embankment was even more helpless than a flood when it rained. When it rained, they could at least be prepared. Now there was no preparation at all. They would be able to harvest in a few days, but now that the embankment was washed away by the water, the food was gone. How were they going to pay this year's rent? It was a man-made disaster. He did not know if the imperial court would waive the rent. Even if it was waived, he would have wasted a year. He originally wanted to pay more, but now it was even less. After the three old men heard the news, they sat together in a daze. They also did not expect that there would be someone who could do such a thing. This matter could not be blamed on the experts of the Zhang family for not foreseeing it. Who could have foreseen it? Even if Zhuge Liang was still alive, it would be useless. Zhang Zhong did not even dare to ask his son and daughter-in-law. It would put too much pressure on the two children. He could only wait in the signing room, hoping that his son and daughter-in-law would once again use their divine abilities to turn the tide. The military registrar, who had confessed the matter, did not have any happy thoughts. He had already been arrested. After hearing the situation over there, he clearly knew what the result would be. Not only would he lose a lot of people and money, even if he died, he would bear an infamy for eternity. He did not know if his family would be able to stay. If the imperial court vented their anger on him, then his entire family would be finished. Even those who were slightly related to him would not be able to escape. Chapter 572. We have to tell the emperor about this first. Otherwise, people will think that Zhang Zhong didn't do a good job. This is too hateful. We have to think of a way. We can't just watch the local people suffer. Old Man Pai wasn't in the mood to fish anymore. He sat there drinking tea and said to the two old men. He had never encountered this kind of situation before. He had to think about what to do slowly. They had to block it, but how to block it? It was hard to say if they could block it. Compared to the flood on the Yellow River, the Yangtze River was much worse. Old Man Chong was also trying to think of a way. He suddenly said, "How about this? Send more people to transport stones over. Block it bit by bit first, then seal the opening. It's best if we can find a way to make the water smaller." "How can the water be smaller?" Old Man Pai asked gloomily. "Why not? Didn't the people by the river use the river water when they irrigate the land? Let's get them to water the land again. Starting from upstream, the more water they use, the less water there will be. So clogged. It's not like there hasn't been a flood in the past. What should be flushed has been flushed. Let's just treat it as a flood like before." Old Man Chong added. Old Man Yao disagreed. "How can that be? The food of the people upstream is almost ripe. If we ask them to let the water go, the food will be soaked in the water again. They absolutely can't do it, even if we give them money. After all, the amount of food they have is related to their political achievements. It's true that there have been floods before, but when has it ever been good? Now it's man-made. The Zhang family can't bear such a big loss. If we don't think of a safe way, we won't be able to recover in 3 years. The water might even reach the state capital." The news was quickly spread to the imperial court by Old Man Pai and Old Man Yao. The entire imperial court was shocked. It wasn't because of the flood. Since the flood had already happened, the Zhang family and Wang family would think of a way to make up for the loss. Everyone was shocked. Who was so crazy? If all the local officials were like this, then wouldn't it be impossible to arrest people and punish them in the future? How many rivers were there in the Great Tang? When it was the rainy season, it was impossible to guard against them. If they were to dig up the rivers, didn't that mean that as long as it was the rainy season, even the local officials would have to tolerate their mistakes? Otherwise, they would start digging up the rivers. This kind of thing absolutely could not happen. They had to use torture to let all the officials know that if they dared to do this, their entire race would be wiped out. After the discussion of the punishment in the imperial court, everyone began to look forward to what the master of the Zhang family would do under such circumstances. Here this place is low. And here it has always been low. This place is slightly higher. That's great. It's fine as long as it's higher. Zhang Xiaobao was still studying the map when the people who went to check the situation came back. Just as everyone thought, almost all the villages near the river were gone. It was a vast expanse of water. Many people ran out with their families. It was still unknown how many people had died. The rescuers had also gone over. They rowed the boats to look for people who were still alive. The gap was a little bigger, but no one went to plug it. The water was spreading to other places very quickly. All the fields passing by were flooded. There was no hope for any harvest. After studying the military map in detail, Zhang Xiaobao finally showed a hint of joy. Wang Wen looked at Zhang Xiaobao and asked, "Xiaobao, do you have a good idea? Do you know how to plug it?" "Yes, I know. I'll go and arrange for people." Li Sun also needs to send people to call the people in other places. The road can be repaired later. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. He had a very bold idea in his heart. After talking to Wang Wan, he took her to find his father. Zhang Zhong had lost weight. In only 3 days he had lost more than 5 kilograms. He was worried. The news should have reached the imperial court. He didn't know what they would do. And here, he had sent people to rescue, but the water had not been plugged. The local people only cared about escaping and couldn't organize. Zhang Xiaobao hadn't seen his father for 2 days. He had been thinking about how to minimize this disaster. Now that he saw his father's appearance, he was distressed. If this went on, it was likely that he would fall ill. Fortunately, he had a way. "Xiaobao Cuckoo, do you have a good idea?" When Zhang Zhong saw his son and daughter-in-law coming, the first thing that came to his mind was this. The 2 children were his last hope. If even the gods couldn't do it, who else could he turn to? Zhang Xiaobao nodded fiercely. "Father, there is a way. Didn't you mention that you wanted to repair the bridge last time?" It was an official in Wangjiang County who said that we should take this opportunity to repair the bridge and connect the north and south of the river. This can be considered a political achievement. Now let's arrange for people to do things and get people to gather enough steel. Repair the bridge? Xiaobao, it's a flood now. It's not normal. Zhang Zhong didn't expect his son to mention repairing the bridge at this time. This didn't seem to have anything to do with disaster relief, right? That's right, Father. It's to repair the bridge. While doing disaster relief, we can repair the bridge at the same time. It won't be delayed and will be repaired very soon. I reckon that when it's frozen, a bridge will be able to connect the two sides. At that time, transportation will be convenient. As long as there's more production here, we can raise the rent tax, Zhang Xiaobao said firmly. Wang Wan couldn't figure out how to repair the bridge. When Zhang Xiaobao began to issue orders and post notices in the name of his father, Wang Wan finally understood. Zhang Xiaobao saw from the map that the place where the Wangjiang River burst was at the lowest point. After the water rushed out, Zhang Xiaobao prepared to continue digging along the line and create a road for the water. Finally, it connected to a section of the embankment in front and dug the embankment there. The water from the upstream would flow back into the Yangtze River from the excavated area. What they needed to do now was to get more people to dig in the front and build a river embankment in the open space in the north. They would block the water from the embankment in the front between the undamaged embankment and the newly built embankment so that the water would flow directly into the area that was going to be blown out. In other words, they would artificially build a bridge for the water and let the water flow along this road. This was also the reason why Zhang Xiaobao wanted to repair the bridge. In the past, when they built reservoirs, they would first dig a river and lead the water over. Then they would first block the dam on the other side. When they were done, they would blow up the blocked area and block the other side again. Then the water would come back. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to lead the water away at this time and block the normal river channel. He wanted to use cement and steel to repair the bridge. This bridge was easy to repair. It didn't need to carry large vehicles that weighed tons. Using cement and steel to build the bridge piers at the bottom, it wouldn't be a problem even if they used wood to build the bridge. It was indeed fast. After Wang Wan figured out this matter, she hugged Zhang Xiaobao's head and kissed him hard on the cheek. Xiaobao, you really didn't disappoint. You're never the kind of person who compromises in the face of difficulties. At this time, you can still think of making use of this opportunity. That's great. If the bridge is repaired, then this political achievement will be huge. Let's go and take a look. Basically, everyone in the province started to move. Those who had money contributed, and those who had power contributed. The money naturally came from the Zhang family, the Wang family, and Li Suan. The strength came from the bodyguards and the people around them. Zhang Zhong personally went there to take charge. As long as the people had someone to command them, it would be much easier. They didn't lack the spirit to fight, but they were afraid that there would be no one to lead them. The people in the inner courtyard of the Zhang family began to arrange people according to Zhang Xiaobao's plan. They started to build the embankment from where the water was shallow. After the embankment was built a little, they pushed it forward again. Bit by bit, they forced the water between the embankment of the Yangtze River and this side. There were also people digging a little further away. The people in the province started to move, but the three old men still didn't understand Zhang Zhong's intention. To be precise, they didn't understand what the experts of the Zhang family wanted to do. After asking Zhang Zhong, the three old men stared blankly as Zhang Zhong left to organize the people to work. It can actually be done like this? They diverted the water instead of directly blocking it. Then they took the opportunity to repair the bridge. They knew that the embankment was destroyed first. If I didn't know, I would have thought that it was Zhang Zhong who ordered people to dig up the embankment for the purpose of repairing the bridge. Old Man Chong said in surprise. He really admired this. If it was someone else, it would have been over long ago. However, the experts of the Zhang family made use of it. Not only did they block the water and prevent it from continuing to rush to other more important places, they also made use of this disaster to make some achievements. If the Zhang family wanted to repair the bridge, they could have waited until winter to fix the embankment here first before blowing it up. They couldn't have let the water rush in. He really wants to repair the bridge. I don't know if he can do it. If he can, then he will be the first person in history. No, the experts behind him will be the second person in history. Old Man Pai was also shocked by this plan. At the same time, he deeply felt the tenacity of the Zhang family. No matter how difficult the situation was, they would not admit defeat. And the more difficult the situation was, the more they would do. It was the same over and over again. Ever since he started raising chickens to help Old Man Yao deal with the locust plague, he had done this. No matter how many obstacles there were in front of him, he would go through them all. Old Man Yao stared at Zhang Zhong's back as he left. After a while he finally said, as expected, "He is quite capable. It seems that there is really no way to deal with the Zhang family in the future. People like him are not afraid of being banished at all. In the face of such a situation, they can still gain benefits. What can they not do? They can immediately think of a solution without any preparation. That is to say, as long as they have time to prepare, they don't have to worry about anything. This is a good idea, especially since the Zhang family now has cement. If they want to build a bridge in the future, they can do the same and build another dam in advance. When the time comes, they can start building bridge piers there. It will be much more convenient for people to travel between the two sides of the river. In addition, they can also build the land road. When the time comes, they can transport goods together with the water route. The food from the south can be quickly transported to the north, and the things from the north can also be transported to the south. It will also be convenient for people to travel between the two sides. If it is the Yellow River, the speed of transportation by boat can't compare to the speed of transportation by bridge. If there is a war, the bridge will be a great contribution. Old Man Pai and Old Man Yao thought differently from ordinary people. As long as they found something good, they would want to lead it to the imperial court. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't care about what other people thought. If they wanted to build a bridge, they could do it. The most important thing was that they could afford to pay for the steel. The two of them had already decided that if the cement wasn't up to standard, they would add copper pillars to replace the poor quality steel when building the bridge piers. This was all money. If they wanted to build a bridge from the Yangtze River to the other side, it would cost at least 100,000 strings of cash. It was money. They had to spend it. Even if they spent it, they couldn't charge anything like before. Even if the money was paid by their family, they couldn't charge people a penny after the bridge was built. Fortunately, the transportation capacity wasn't that high now. It wasn't a railway bridge, so they didn't have to worry about overloading large trucks. The bridge deck didn't cost too much. After the bridge piers were built, they could use ropes to connect the bridge. Finally, they laid wood. If they wanted to build it better, they could use iron chains to connect the bridge piers. Money, it's not like my dad caused this. Why does my family have to pay for the repairs? We can't even collect a toll. Zhang Xiaobao mumbled as he looked at the commoners working in full swing. Wang Wan suddenly laughed. She knew that Zhang Xiaobao was muttering because he was bored. Not to mention that it was because of Zhang Zhong. Even if there wasn't any reason, he would still take the initiative to build the bridge. He didn't care how much money his family had to spend. There was a big difference between having a bridge and not having one. People who came and went didn't have to risk their lives. If the bridge here wasn't too important, then if they could build a bridge upstream, the dangers of the Three Gorges would be reduced. The really big cargo ships there rarely had accidents. Usually, the dangerous ones were the small boats or small cargo ships that carried people across the river. If there was a bridge, there was no need to use it. They could just walk on it. Now the bridge here was built for Zhang Zhong's political achievements, and also to help Li Sun. There was also a more important reason to build a bridge through this disaster. If it was successful, they could do the same in other places in the future. Xiaobao, why don't I pay for the bridge too? Li Sun, who was standing behind Zhang Xiaobao, heard Zhang Xiaobao's words and said aloud. Zhang Xiaobao looked back at Li Sun, shook his head and said, no, you don't have to pay for it. If you want to pay for it, when this bridge is built, you can build one on the Yellow River and directly connect it to the capital. It seems that the cement needs to be studied. What if it doesn't work? Li Sun nodded seriously. Okay, let's see how your bridge is first. Don't let it be washed away by the water. In fact, it won't cost much. Give me the cost of the cement. When the time comes, I'll use the marble stones to build a bigger yard for our brother and sister. That's my brother and sister. Zhang Xiaobao corrected. It's the same. Li Sun replied, but his heart was touched by Zhang Xiaobao's words. He was looking forward to the Zhang family's bridge being built so that people could pass through it normally. When the time comes, he would really go to the Yellow River to build the bridge. He would use some of the money from the transaction to build a few more bridges. It was just that steel and copper were a bit expensive, but cement was not worth much. Wang Wan also smiled. She admitted that the current environment was really very good. They could spend as much money as they needed. There was no such thing as buying a few bags. In the end, they only needed a little money, so how could they build something of good quality? No one could be greedy with their own money. Especially the price of the raw materials was very cheap. There were many times when they didn't even need to spend money to buy them. They just needed to find a place to pick them. For example, the materials used to make cement were very cheap. If a road could be built for the local people during the process of picking, the local officials would be very grateful. Usually, there wouldn't be officials coming over to ask for money. The big officials wouldn't bother to do that, and the small ones wouldn't dare. Li Longji was doing a good job now. Now that there was a way to solve the problem, the people didn't panic. Even the local people who were washed away by the flood didn't run around and beg for food like before. They all joined the operation. Naturally, the Zhang family and the Wang family paid for food and other things. This wasn't considered a salary, but it was the salary for 20 days. If they worked for a long time, all the rent and transfer would be waived. It wasn't that the Zhang family and the Wang family couldn't afford it, but that Zhang Xiaobao wasn't prepared to pay for it. If everything was measured by money, then this nation would be finished. There would only be money in their hearts, and there would be no morality or family. The current situation was to resist the disaster. There was also a period of post-disaster reconstruction. It was necessary to show the unity of this nation. If other businessmen were willing to pay to help, then it would be better. Zhang Xiaobao promised that he wouldn't embezzle any of the money. All of it would be used on the victims. After following them for 5 days, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw that they didn't need to take care of this matter anymore. They were ready to go back. Someone had already sent them a letter. The 4 little brats had begun to make a fuss because they couldn't see their brother and sister. Zhang Zhong also asked if the 4 little brats mentioned him. The result was naturally very disappointing. His children only knew to call him father when they saw him and endure his beard being kissed twice. They didn't usually think of him at all. Their brother and sister were the best. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were ready to go back, they also asked the 3 old men if they wanted to go back with them. They also made watermelon dumplings for the 3 old men to eat. The 3 old men thought of the food Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan made. They swallowed at the same time, but insisted on staying. They wanted to take a good look at this matter and see what was going on. When the time came, they could use it in other places to gain more experience. The canal could continue to be repaired, and then a bridge could be built on it to connect the 2 sides. This way, transportation would be more convenient. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw that the others didn't move, so they had to go back by themselves. Even Li Sun wanted to stay here and see how the water was blocked elsewhere. He also wanted to see how the bridge looked like, especially how many materials were used. He was afraid that others would cheat him. A caddy of iron was a lot of money. What if he didn't know and someone else bought more? Or bought normal iron but used less? After the bridge pier was piled up with cement, it couldn't be seen from the outside. Who knew what it looked like inside? He had to be on guard. Li Sun still didn't know. What he was thinking about was what happened to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan at that time. Just like what he thought, since it was piled up with cement, no one could see the situation inside. If there was a flood and it suddenly collapsed, he would say that it was the water behind it. It wouldn't happen once in 10,000 years, or even once in a million years. Couldn't even be compared to the Ice Age. Anyway, he would say it as shameless as possible. Even if everyone knew what was going on, it was just like the emperor's new clothes. After hearing and seeing more, he got used to it. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't have such concerns. After all, it was still the time to talk about morality. After all, if someone fell to the ground and saved him, he wouldn't say that it was you who hit him. After the 2 of them arranged things properly, they rode back quickly. They didn't know what the little guys were doing. If they didn't know how to go, wouldn't they turn the sky upside down? When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan returned to the younger brother and sister's courtyard, the 4 little guys had turned the sky upside down. Even the 2 sisters were making trouble. The maids in the courtyard were washing clothes for them, and they began to make trouble there. In fact, it was not right to say that they were making trouble. They kindly wanted to help wash. Each of them pulled a washboard and imitated others, making water everywhere. They didn't know whose clothes were, but they were distributed and put in basins for them to rub. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already used good soap powder. It was very convenient to wash clothes, and the clothes were easy to clean. The 6 little guys were avoiding the maids who were wiping their faces when Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan came over. As soon as Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw their younger brother and sister, they were happy at first. Then they laughed and made bubbles all over their bodies. It seemed that they had rubbed more vigorously just now. As soon as the 6 little guys saw that their relatives had come back, they opened their small hands and ran over. Zhang Xiaobao's younger brother ran and fell to the ground with a plop. He sat there and pondered for a while. Finally, he found the problem. His belt buckle was open. Just now, he stepped on it with one foot. He looked up at his brother and sister, got up angrily and continued to run over. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw their younger brother and sister like this, they were very proud. This was what they taught them. When they fell, they didn't cry. Instead, they thought about why they fell. It took them a long time to develop such a habit. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were surrounded by their younger brother and sister. They came to the place where they washed their clothes. It seemed that they wanted to let the 2 of them see what washing clothes was. One by one, they squatted beside the washing board that was placed horizontally. They took the clothes out of the basin and put them on it. Then they threw their whole bodies on it to wash. Good. Good job washing. Zhang Xiaobao immediately praised them loudly. He even used his strength to rub his hands twice. This time it was amazing. Xiao Bei directly rushed over and took off the only piece of clothing on Zhang Xiaobao's upper body. With a splash, he pressed it into the water and rubbed it. It was unknown how much soap they had put in. Every time they rubbed, a lot of bubbles would come out. Wang Wan looked and said, "Why don't you put some glycerin in it? It's a byproduct when making soap. It's just right for them to blow bubbles for fun." Zhang Xiaobao nodded, but his eyes were staring at the hands of the maidservants who were washing the clothes. He watched them rub there. Their hands were indeed good and well maintained, but Zhang Xiaobao always felt that something was wrong. Why are you looking at their hands? Haven't you seen washing clothes before? Now we can only wash like this or use a stick to hit them. There's no washing machine. Wang Wan stretched out her hand and waved it in front of Zhang Xiaobao. Yes, if there's no washing machine, then make one. I don't expect it to have all kinds of functions. As long as it can turn, it's fine. We can make a generator. Is it difficult to make an electric motor? Zhang Xiaobao finally knew what was wrong. It turned out that it was missing a washing machine. It's not difficult, but there will be leakage. Wang Wan followed. Then don't use it. Use manpower, the kind that uses feet. It's better than washing by hand, right? It's even better if it's placed by the river. The maidservants only need to be responsible for pouring water into it. There's also an additional job of washing clothes. Zhang Xiaobao decided to free the maidservants' hands and not let them continue to wash clothes with their hands. Wang Wan nodded and then shook her head. Who will let you wash clothes? Won't they wash clothes in their own house? There's no market at all. Normally, that's the case. However, there are many rich people who do get others to help them wash their clothes. Don't some commoners rely on this to earn a living? That's settled then. In the future, build more washing machines to help those who cannot find work. Zhang Xiaobao insisted mainly because he thought that there was something attractive about this matter, and that was the things used to wash clothes. It would be better if there were some spices to add to the fragrance. Many people might not worry about not having enough clothes to wash, but they came to wash clothes out of curiosity and identity. Even if they were not successful in the end, they could still sell washing machines. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao's expression and guessed what he was thinking. She said, "Do you want to sell washing machines? This can't be sold. It needs good materials and a lot of money. People who don't have money won't use it. Rich people have maids and hired old women. Who would spend money to buy this? Why not? If you sell it as a product, no one will buy it. You can just sell it as a fashion trend. Let those people feel that if they don't buy a washing machine at home, the clothes they wear will be different from others. Add some spice. Use different plants to distill, and then spray the washed clothes with a variety of fragrances, and the pure natural ones. Get it to the key cities of the better states and a place like the capital. There should be a market. How do you know if you don't try? Zhang Xiaobao said as he walked to his yard. He wanted to go back and find a craftsman to make a washing machine. Wang Wan also followed behind to help with ideas. The 6 little guys were washing happily. When they saw that they were gone, they were stunned and found that they were about to walk out of the yard. They put down other things and ran with their legs tight. Zhang Xiaobao heard the footsteps and looked back. Only then did he remember that there were 6 little guys. Zhang Xiaobao paused and winked at Wang Wan. He clapped his hands and walked in front of her. He said, "Please do this with me." Wang Wan was a little stunned and immediately understood what Zhang Xiaobao was doing. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She followed Zhang Xiaobao and clapped her hands while walking. She said, "I'll do this with you. Please do this with me. I'll do this with you. Please do this with me. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan kept repeating this process. As they talked, the 6 little guys also began to follow. They also said, "I'll do this with you" with Wang Wan. In the end, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan walked in front, and the 6 little guys followed behind. It was like a mother goose walking with her baby geese. Everyone who saw it was confused. They didn't know why the young master and the young lady were walking with the 4 little ancestors. In this way we can add poetry and other things in the future. They will be very willing to learn. They will even organize themselves to play like this. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan returned to the yard and asked someone to find a craftsman, they hugged the 6 little guys together and said softly, "How can you come up with so many ideas? The little guys are so pitiful. They don't even know that they are being schemed against." Wang Wan really understood Zhang Xiaobao's intention this time. Guidance. The learning method of guidance in the game was the best way. After waiting for another 5 days, the 3 old men realized that they couldn't build the bridge yet. They hadn't found enough things to block the bridge, so they finally came back. Staying outside was indeed not as good as staying at home. The main reason was that they didn't have a group of little guys. When they came back, they saw Luer, Xian, Air, Weiwei, Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and the others installing things. There was a man-made river in their yard, and there was a windmill connected to it. The 3 old men were now in the old man Pai's yard. They were very puzzled when they saw the thing. They wanted to ask, but seeing how serious the little guys were, they didn't want to disturb them. They could only wait by the side. After the things were installed, someone directly took a lot of clothes and threw them into the box. They didn't know what it meant. The 3 old men watched the group of little guys add water to the box and put in soap powder. When the other end was connected to the windmill, there was a rumbling sound from the box. It wasn't too loud. Zhang Xiaobao clapped his hands. The 6 little guys also clapped their hands, although they didn't know what this thing was for, or what benefits it would bring them. Old Man Pai saw that everyone was done, so he came over to look at the situation in the box. It had already started spinning, and it was spinning quite quickly. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in confusion and asked, "This is? Grandpa Bai, you're back." This is a washing machine. It's used to wash clothes. With this thing you don't need to rub it with your hands or hit it with a stick. Can wash a lot of clothes at once. It's very fast and convenient. Grandpa Bai, how much are you willing to pay if I sell this to you? Zhang Xiaobao introduced it to Old Man Pai and asked about the market demand. "I won't pay a penny. I already have someone in my family who specializes in this job. I have a lot of money and nowhere to spend it. Why would I buy this thing to wash clothes?" Old Man Pai didn't give him any face at all. Wang Wan laughed softly at the side. Zhang Xiaobao felt that it was too embarrassing. He smacked his lips and said, "Grandpa Bai, it's like this. As long as you buy this thing, I can give you the materials to add fragrance to your clothes for free. There are many kinds of fragrance and you can wear it. People will laugh at an old man like me if I wear it. I won't buy it. I definitely won't buy it." Before Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, Old Man Pai interrupted and refused. After he finished speaking, he turned around to look at Old Man Chong and Old Man Yao. The 2 old men nodded cooperatively, meaning that they wouldn't buy it. Zhang Xiaobao was stunned for a while. He said to Wang Wan, "You see, I told you that Grandpa Bai and the others don't need this at all. You just had to bring it over. Tear it all down. Take it back to our own homes." Wang Wan laughed even louder. The others also laughed. Even the 6 children who still didn't know what was going on laughed like flowers. Old Man Pai quickly stopped them and said, "There's no need to tear it down. It looks okay and can be used. Keep it. Later, I'll give one to your Grandpa Yao and Grandpa Zhang. As for the fragrance, I don't need it. I'll help you this time. Give it to someone else. This old man is easy to talk to." "Grandpa Bai, then should I thank you?" Zhang Xiaobao asked as he pulled his brother to his side. "No need. I'm also very happy to be able to help little guys like you this time," Old Man Pai said with bright eyes. His gaze was fixed on the washing machine. Zhang Xiaobao nodded in admiration. "Grandpa Bai, you are really too noble. Then do you think I can still sell this washing machine?" "I've decided. If the important thing is that you buy a washing machine, I'll give you a good iron." "Yes, you can sell it. What does the iron look like? Is it better than a soldering iron?" "Xiaobao, how about this? If you sell it directly, you don't know what other people will think after they use it. Why don't you let me have a few first? I'll find someone to help you use it. I'll tell you the pros and cons. What about you two?" Old Man Pai knew that the things from the Zhang family had always been good. How could he miss out on this opportunity? Old Man Chong and Old Man Yao nodded at the same time. Old Man Yao had a lot of good friends. Old Man Chong wanted to give it to his family's master, Zhang Juling. The things from the Zhang family were definitely comfortable to use. Zhang Xiaobao curled his lips and said, "I'll take out a total of 5. You 3 can split it." "Aya Xiaobao, why don't you take out 2? We happen to have 3 people. If you take out 2, wouldn't the effect be better?" Old Man Pai didn't fall for it at all. "Little guy, you want to kill 3 with 2 peaches. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.